My name is Allison Laub, and I'm the chair of the Community Futures Huron. And Community Futures got the funding from the Regional Relief and Recovery Fund to be able to hire Roger and bring him here to share his information with us. I won't talk much about that because I understand Roger will outline exactly what he's done on this project. But I do want to talk about the partnership that was formed. Partnership was formed with the Huron Chamber of Commerce, and the Economic Development Roundtable announced the program. All communities of Huron were welcome to participate at no cost to the local municipality or BIA. Ultimately, 6 partners signed on: Goderich Tourism and Community Development, Central Huron Community Improvement in Clinton, Huron East Economic Development for Brussels, Zurich and Area Chamber of Commerce, Blyth BIA, and the County of Huron Economic Development. So today you're going to hear about his research and the report, supported by photos of what Roger saw in our community. But before I introduce you to Roger, we have an announcement from the county's new Director of Economic Development, Vicki Lass. Vicki joined the county as Director of Economic Development at the end of 2021. She comes to us after working with OMAFRA for nearly 2 decades. Please join me in welcoming Vicki.
Thank you very much, Allison, for that warm welcome. And it's great to see so many people out today, even on this beautiful snowy spring day. I wanted to make an announcement today about the Sled program. Are all of you familiar with the Sled program? Show of hands. Okay, great. So the Sled program, Supporting Local Economic Development 2022, is about to open. And we thought that today was a timely day to tell you about it, because you might just get some ideas for projects today that you'd like to apply for. So all of the information and the opening of the program will be up on the website tomorrow, and that's when the program opens. The intake is open until May 31st at 4:30 p.m. A couple of changes this year. One is that we have, thanks to Community Futures Huron, a larger pot of money. So instead of $90,000 to spread out amongst projects, we have $100,000 this year. So thank you so much, Community Futures. And this year we will be accepting applications throughout that time, and both Rick Sickinger and myself will be happy to coach those applications to match the merit ranking that the applications will be assessed on. It will be a panel of judges this year, 2 judges from our Economic Development Board and 1 judge from Community Futures Huron that will be reviewing all of the applications and allocating the dollars to those with the most impact for the projects that we're looking for. And what kind of projects are we looking for? Not great changes, but I'll give you a little bit more information. We have just completed our business retention and expansion survey, and we have identified a number of themes in that survey, which will move us along to our strategic plan for the county economic development. But we want to make sure that the Sled program reflects those themes that we've identified. So the projects we're looking for this year will be projects that address workforce, so both re-engagement as well as attraction and retention. So any sort of workforce project will be entertained this year. We'll also be looking for projects that impact both business districts or business sectors. So that's any of the sectors in Huron County, and not individual businesses per se, but business sectors, so such as our BIAs and our chambers and the work that they do. And then our third category, or the third objective for Sled this year, is to advance placemaking, community and or tourism development. So community development, placemaking, or tourism development. And the reason we single out tourism development and don't just leave it as its own sector is that when we work on our communities to make them more welcoming to tourists, we inevitably make them more welcoming to the community. And this is really important, as you know. Rural Ontario lives and breathes by its community and its volunteers and the work that they do to make our places special. And so that's our third category, and I think you'll probably get some good ideas today for that category of placemaking, community development, and tourism development. So 3 different categories: merit-based, judged by a panel of judges, $100,000 to distribute around the county, closes May 31st at 4:30 p.m., and all applicants, whether successful or not, will be notified by June the 10th. Any questions? Yes?
Sorry, Vicki, can you just give a quick definition of placemaking? I'm just not sure what that is.
Yes. So I think that's what you're going to find out more about today. So I'm going to kind of leave Roger to do that. But placemaking is really, I feel, placemaking is really identifying your attributes and maximizing them, giving authentic experiences both to your community members and your visitors, playing up who Huron County is and what we have to offer, because we have some really wonderful and unique assets. And I think Roger is probably going to tell you more about those today and give you some ideas. You're welcome. Any other questions? Well, have an absolutely wonderful day. I'll be with you for most of the day, and I look forward to hearing what is going to be shared today as well. So take care. If you have questions, I'm around. Thanks. Thanks, Allison.
Thank you, Vicki. And we also have another announcement from RTO4. And I'll hand it over to Lee.
Good morning, everyone. I know a couple faces in the room, but for those of you that don't know me, my name is Lee Cove. I'm a destination project manager with the Regional Tourism Organization 4, or as Allison said, a less mouthful, RTO4. We have some funding support available as well, and maybe some project ideas will come out of the presentation today. Applications are already open, and it's for the RTO4 Tourism Relief Fund. That name may sound familiar, as there was a federal program that was open as well. We're doing a regional-based one that's covering our region of Huron, Perth, Wellington, and Waterloo. Projects you can apply for can be between $20,000 to $100,000, and projects can be retroactive from April of 2021. For-profit, non-for-profit can apply. Non-for-profit don't have to have any matching funds, so nonprofits, municipalities, and then any for-profit organizations or businesses at least have to have 50% match funding. Eligibility requirements and a guide are available on our website, which is rto4.ca. Or if you have questions, you're more than welcome to email me at Lee, which is LEIGH, at rto4.ca.
Thank you. Okay, and now we can get down to business. Roger is a marketing guru, an expert on travel, tourism, downtowns, community branding, and destination marketing. For more than 35 years, his practical and entertaining presentations have helped communities around the world become outstanding destinations in which to live, invest, and visit. With his humorous stories and real-life examples and bottom line, cut-to-the-chase rules, ingredients, and to-do suggestions, Roger has become the top-rated keynote speaker on the topics of community branding, placemaking, downtowns, and tourisms. So in Roger's words, every community has the potential to become a thriving, sustainable, and desirable place to live, invest in, and visit. Let's empower them and inspire people to get things done. So Roger, I'll turn it over to you, and we're really looking forward to this.
Thank you. How is everyone? Well, we're about to have some fun this morning, and you get to keep that since I already got my own microphone. So I'm going to dig right in. It's been great to be here. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we're doing here in just a second. And by the way, if you see anything here that you want to take a picture of it, you say, Roger, go back to that slide, or feel free to take any part of this. You're certainly welcome. And we are going to leave this physical presentation with Heather, who's been coordinating this entire project for us. And it's really great to be here, since we were supposed to be here, more than a year ago. Unfortunately, we live in the States, and somebody closed that border. So it's been tough getting here, but we finally have arrived. So I want to explain a little bit about what the heck we've been doing. We have been secret shopping you. We didn't ask for any place to stay, where to eat, make sure you see this, make sure you go there. We didn't get any of that. So we came and secret shop you just like anybody else that might be looking for a new place to live, or a new place to work, or a place to invest in. So that's what we have been doing. So there was no interview, no heads up. So what you're going to see is straight from us. And by the way, this is no holds barred. So it's really an honest look at you, the good, the bad, the ugly. And so that really sets this up. Our focus for this whole thing is, what can you do locally to make your community even better, stronger, more desirable places to live, invest in, and visit? That's the bottom line. So our experience doing these assessments is we've done more than 2,200 communities in 45 states, in every province except Manitoba. What's up with them? And Western Europe, Scandinavia. As a matter of fact, we assessed every single city and town in Nova Scotia. It took us 10 years to do it. Every year we'd go back. And so we've done that. So we've done a tremendous amount in the Atlantic provinces. But here locally in Ontario, we've worked and assessed or worked in all of these communities you now see coming up on your screen. And I have probably missed a few doing this. But as you can see, some of them are really close to you. We've done all of Grey County, all of Bruce County. We did Wellington County a couple of years ago. We did Orangeville. I mean, we've even been out clear over in Kenora, which really, people go, that's in Ontario? They think it's close to Winnipeg. You know, and so we've worked in all of these, and I apologize if there's somebody who sees this that said, you forgot about us. I've also it's funny because I've been doing this for actually 40 years now, and the place I've spoken the most of any place I've ever been is Deerhurst Resort in Huntsville. I mean, that seems to be the place I've spoken there probably 10 or 15 times. So it's really great to be in Huron County because we've worked pretty much all the way around you. And so it's great to be here. And so we get a good feel for it. And then finally, this is what we're doing here. And we mentioned these were the kind of the partners in this process. But when we're here, we've been down just about every road you can imagine in the county. So we spent time here in Holmesville, and we're actually staying in Bayfield, so that's where we're at. These are the partners, and you've already been introduced to them. And so that's why you're saying, well, why did you focus on those communities? Because these are the people that were the main partners. But I think it's really important to see everything and everybody. But we're going to concentrate on them. And so this whole process, here's how it started. The first thing we did before we even came here was we went online and checked out Huron County or your communities, just like anybody else would. We looked at, was it easy to find information about you in these communities? Was it good enough to close the sale? How do you stack up to all the counties around you? You know, but what I'm going to concentrate today is what we saw when we got here. And we've been here for almost 2 weeks. So we spent almost every single day out there checking you out. All of these things we're going to look at and more. I'll explain these critical masses like businesses grouped together. Amenities, parking, could we find restrooms or washrooms, attractions, what is there to see and do, all of these things. And so we wear these, when we do this, we wear 3 hats. Is this a place we'd want to live in or a young family would want to move to? And that's really important. I'm going to share that with you in a minute. And is this a place we'd want to invest in, bring a business, expand a business? And then number 3, as a place to visit. But for more than just a day trip, would we spend the night? By the way, overnight visitors spend 3 times more than day trippers. And so here is why this whole thing is so important. And through this presentation, I'm going to give you like 15 facts, but I want to start off with these 7. And Vicki already kind of mentioned this, but tourism is the front door to your non-tourism economic development. Anybody who's going to invest here is coming here first as what? A visitor. They could be a site selector, real estate agents, investors of some kind. And that's what you have to understand. Tourism is the front door. And these people are saying, is this a place our employees would want to live? You know, and so you have to look at it that. And it is the purest form of economic development. We love tourism because people come, they spend money and go home. We don't have to have all the social services for them. If you bring in the right kind of visitors, we don't have to police them. I mean, it's a great thing for you. But here's one of the biggest changes in economic development in North America, both the States and in Canada. For the first time in history, jobs are now going where the talent is or where the talent wants to be. That changed everything. I mean, you could go to Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, all the tech companies. You could go to other companies, and that's what they're doing. They're saying, well, this is a great place where our employees want to be, and so they're moving their business there. So you know what that means? The new reality is that community development is leading economic and tourism development. That never happened before. And this all started really shifting about 7 or 8 years ago, but COVID put it on steroids. Because, and by the way, it used to be that rural America, rural Canada were dying, not so anymore. So we are now in the age of placemaking, and I am going to explain that a little further. But this is, placemaking is really about quality of life, where you hang out. You're going to see some examples as I go through this. But what that means is quality of life is leading economic development. We're not going where the jobs are. We're going where we want to live, and we'll find a way to make a living when we're there. You know, and what's really interesting is even all these organizations went out and they asked millennials, who are now mainly in their 30s, the oldest ones are right around 40-ish. They asked all these people, what are your priorities? And this was both in the United States and in Canada. And what do those people want in their late 20s, their 30s, their early 40s? And there's been some major shifts. First of all, they're having their kids later in life. Boomer generation were having kids in their 20s. Now they're in their late 40s before they're having kids. And fathers are spending twice as much time with their kids than our generation did. And by the way, if you cater to millennials, you're going to get us boomers anyway. And as I tell millennials all the time, because we like hanging out with you, whether you like it or not. So if you cater to millennials, you're going to get everybody. And that is really important. So these are their priorities from them in order. Number 1 is safety, particularly for kids. That's number 1. And that's good news for you. I mean, every town we were in the whole, we never felt worrisome like we might in some of the urban areas. Number 2 on that list is they want a good educational system and childcare. So they want some good schools. Niche.com is really great at rating schools. And then and I think you're good there. You did really good there when we were researching you. They wanted engaged community, a sense of belonging, a downtown. By the way, one thing that's really important right now is the millennial generation is the most civically minded generation in North American history. There are more mayors, Mayor Edmonton, more mayors under the age of 35 today in Canada than any time in history. Heck, us boomers, we were down with the establishment. Then somehow we became the establishment and really screwed it up. But the millennials, they want to be part of it. They don't want the good old boys network. They want to be engaged. Not just young professionals, but they say, well, give us a role. We want to make a difference in our communities. And they want to feel that up front. you know, and then number 4 is they want some cultural depth, where there's performing arts, visual arts, you know, education, good food, you name it. They want some cultural depth, and guess what? That's generally, look at downtown is really filling in a lot of these. And here's number 5. Here's one for you in Huron County. They want life after 6 o'clock. How's that working for you? And they're not looking for the bar scene. That's not what they're looking for. They just want music or street vendors, buskers, anything. They just want some life after 6 o'clock, particularly in the shoulder seasons, or particularly during the peak seasons. They want top-notch recreation, which you have in spades, you know, but so does a lot of other areas of Ontario. And that recreation, whether we're on the water, whether we're on rivers, whether we're on trails, whether it is sporting facilities, soccer fields, hockey rinks, you name it. And then number 7 on their list is health, particularly for kids. And when they're talking about clean air and water, health care, farmers markets, food produce, family services, all of those types of things. And number 8 is transportation. It doesn't mean you have to have transit systems out in the rural areas, but they want to know that there are school buses. They want to know that if they go downtown, there are bike lanes, that there are bike trails. Just things related to that. Number 9 is affordability. They still want quality. They don't want just cheap. They want affordable. And that could be starter homes, move-ups, nice neighborhoods for older people, downsizing. And here's the biggest surprise of all. Number 10 was jobs. I mean, number 10, it's not number 1, it's number 10. We want to live here, so what do you have for me? Or how can I start a business here? So that has totally flipped it from previous generations. They want secure jobs or entrepreneurial opportunities. And so that is really, really key to this whole thing. Totally flipped the tables. You know, and so the focus of every elected official, from your prime minister down to every premier, down to every mayor, is how do we improve the quality of life for our citizens? That is what elected officials are for. And so your mission should be the number 1 most desirable place to live in Canada or in Ontario or even in Huron County. How do you stand out from everybody else? What do we need to do? And then number 6 out of this, so we went through all that. Number 6 is this: welcome to the work from anywhere movement. I got to tell you, we RV'd here. All last year, we were out there working. We were RVing across the United States, working everywhere. But we're considered now digital nomads. I mean, this is huge everywhere. And now what's happening is people say, my son works for Expedia in Seattle. But his wife happens to be from New Jersey, and they're thinking about, well, maybe we'll go back to New Jersey. He could work from anywhere. His wife works in the medical field, and she could work from anywhere. I mean, we could work from anywhere. This has really been what has really bolstered rural Canada and rural America. We can live anywhere as long as you give us good internet access, whether it's by cell towers or whether it's broadband. This is huge, and it's changing everything. Matter of fact, RVers in just the U.S., I don't know the numbers in Canada, but most of them are made down there, is just in the U.S., they're selling 500,000 a year of new RVs. 2 million people just in the U.S. live in RVs full time. They can work from anywhere. Or they will fly up here and stay in an Airbnb, which now is extended stay programs for 6 months, a year. So that has changed a lot. And by the way, through this whole process, you're going to see lots of suggestions. There are no recommendations. The reason is, I feel it would be presumptuous for me to come blazing into Huron County and then tell you what you should do when I never even talk to you first. So everything you're going to see is a suggestion. You may say, we want to implement that one. That makes sense. That fits in our strategic plans. But this is one of the first suggestions for you. This is a thing called Harvest Host. And RVers can stay one night. There's no hookups, reservations only. You have to call even within a few hours. And they're encouraged to purchase goods from the merchants. This would be fantastic for any of your farm places, your wineries, your breweries that have bigger parking lots. And they may say, we can accommodate 3. And by the way, it doesn't cost you anything to belong to Harvest Host. And it is in the US and Canada. We pay $95 a year to belong to Harvest Host, and I can call and say, hey, I'd like to stay at Bad Apple Brewing. Do you have a space if they're on the list? So this is just a great way to spread people out of the urban areas, because RVers don't want to be in Guelph or in London or Kitchener or any of the bigger cities. We want to be out here in the country. So Harvest Host is great. Look at this. They have 3,400 in the US and Canada wineries and breweries, farms, and more. And I even pulled up a map. You can see it's a little bit sparse over in your areas right over here. Not a whole lot. There's a lot more in Western Canada. And so this is a great opportunity to tap into a whole nother market. These people do spend money. They eat at restaurants. But the difference between an RVer or a camper and somebody that's staying in a hotel is we shop where the locals shop. I can't tell you how many times we've been at, Huronia Welding in Goderich to buy propane. You know what I mean? And we're shopping at Foodland. We're shopping at all this. RVers shop like you do. People say they don't spend any money because they're self-contained. Oh yeah, we're not spending hotel money, but we're still eating at restaurants. We're still out there exploring it. We're still hiking the trails. We're still shopping your restaurants. And there's also a sister with that called Boondockers Welcome. Once again, free. So this is more than golf courses, wineries, and all those locations. This could be even where people say, hey, we're a hotel. We've got room in our back lot. If you want to bring here. And once again, they're self-contained. You don't have to provide any services. So they're not letting tent cappers stay in these places. And so it's just a great suggestion for you. And by the way, the peak seasons for travel in the United States and Canada are April, May, September, and October. You have to get out of this long weekend in May to Labor Day mindset. That ended 30 years ago. I got to tell you, we were desperate to find a place to RV here this month. And we called every single RV park you had. We thought, well, maybe we're just going to have to hotel it. We just weren't sure what we're going to do. And I understand shutting off the water. You never know what's going to happen in April. Just look outside. But finally, we got accommodated. And I'll go into more of that. But these are really important. These are your shoulder seasons. But boomers, not just RVers, even boomers, this is their peak month. We want to go there when there isn't crowds of people there. And that changes everything. Matter of fact, there's a whole video. We're giving you access to, we created the Destination Development Organization. And all your partners are going to have access for this for the next year. And it's all full of videos, not white papers. But we did a video on just about Zoom towns. Which are these people that are digital nomads, people that are just saying, I want to live there for the next year, and I'm going to work remotely from there. So there you go. That's why all this is important. But I want to do one more thing, is tell you the 5 things we learned in Huron County over these last 2 weeks. First of all, we learned that the old saying about if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes, originated here. I mean, we have seen it all. Sleet, rain, snow, gale force. We haven't seen fog yet, but we've seen that gale force winds alone. We're like, holy crap. There's times we can barely open a car door. And we've seen all of that in 12 days. I mean, this morning, there's nothing like getting up and going, okay, here we go. And we thought it was springtime. So that's the first thing we learned. If you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes, started in Huron County, Ontario. The second thing that we learned was, there it is, freezing weather. And we saw people out mowing lawn a week ago. And now they're out there somebody came up to me and says, you know what? We knew this was going to happen because my dad just put away all his snow removal equipment. Right? Is that right? And so we've seen it all. But what's really interesting is right next to where we're staying, I was outside. See that hole right there? I was sitting there like this far away. And all of a sudden this guy peeks his head out from under that deck, comes out, rubs his eyes, looking around. I mean, I could tell he'd been there all winter. So the second thing we learned about Huron County is that Groundhog Day takes place in mid-April, not the beginning of March. And there he is. I mean, it was like, well, I knew he just came out. So 6 weeks later than the rest of North America. Second thing. Third thing is Huron County does not open for business until at least mid-May. Probably our most frustrating experience here was trying to find any place open. It was almost impossible to get even visitor information. We never have found a map of Huron County. We got a Goderich map. I don't know where you go, who you have to call. We finally bought an Ontario map, which, it's a big province. But here's the suggestion. So this one here, what was interesting is we were there the other day, doors locked, but there were people inside. I could tell they were probably getting ready to open it. But our suggestion would be to add something to this sign because it's been closed. And right there it says open every day, April through October. Now that's wishful thinking, but just tell us when you're going to be open. Invite us back. And so it was closed. I mean, we went to this one. And what's interesting is Goderich's website says that this is going to be open on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Friday 10 to 4. It was never open on any of those days over 2 weeks. See what I mean? So people are coming here and we need help. We need visitor information. We can't get it. And April is one of the peak months for travel. I mean, people are coming here for Easter. They're coming here for whatever holidays you have. And so the website doesn't match the reality. There's nothing on the door that says, oh, we're going to open May 1st. So you got it. When you tell people you're going to do things, we kept going there over and over and over, not once. What happens is this leaves kind of a poor first impression when you say one thing and you don't deliver on the promise. Thank goodness we did have materials. You can see Jane. By the way, I'm here with my wife, Jane. See her way back there in the corner. Go ahead and stand up, Jane. There you go. You cannot secret shop without a woman. I look at infrastructure. She looks at it from a woman's eyes. And the reason I say that, and I'm not being facetious, is women account for 80% of all consumer spending. That's right. And 70% of the travel decisions. And so she looks at it totally different than I do, so it makes a good combination. But thank goodness they did have some materials there, so we got a trail guide, we got a Goderich map, but we couldn't get any countywide information. There just wasn't anything there. So one of these suggestions is you need to have racks. You can see it right there. This is in North Platte, Nebraska. You need to have a series of these. And you need to put them around the county in different areas. And it might have an Ontario visitor's guide. It might have a couple of brochures. I'm going to give you a local guide, whatever it is. And by the way, they should be all over the county. I mean, there's a couple wineries where they had visitor information. There's a couple hotels where you pay to have visitor information. But generally speaking, trying to find it, very difficult. And we could find no countywide information. And so, at the end of the day, we want to thank Paul Bunyan. We started off at Maitland Marina, And they weren't quite ready for us. And when we pulled in there, we were in mud this deep. This is mud season. And so we finally had to go down, and Paul Bundy said, we'll provide you water. Well, we've got power and everything. And so they've been our home. So we learned that. And then you don't open until mid-May. And I hope you can change that. The next thing is, in most provinces and most areas, most streets run north, south, east, west. But in Huron County, you know, we just have to do things a little differently. We have some roads that run north and south and east and west, but most of our roads run northeast, southeast, you know, northwest, southwest, all over the place. And so if you want to go anywhere from like Goderich to Blyth, you zigzag your way out to every place. It isn't like hop on this road and go out there, you know, 10 clicks and you're there. And so that we learned that. And by the way, we drove almost every one of these, turn left, turn right, turn left, turn right, all the way here. And then, so that's the fourth thing. It's never really easy. And number 5, our last one, it's beautiful. And by the way, I did not take that picture. I had to go buy it. But we could tell how beautiful you really are. I mean, we're here. I wish we could have been here in the middle of May. But it really is a beautiful county. As a matter of fact, it blew us away. Even this time of year. You know, and everywhere we went, we ran into cool things like the Arboretum at Woodlands Golf Course, Nature Trail. I mean, it's pretty cool. So now, with all that out of the way, I have 5 major initiatives. So you were announced today a lot of grant funding. And I really believe that you start with the small stuff, grassroots efforts, and work up. I'm not going to give you a bunch of multi-million-dollar suggestions. There's one, but other than that, I'm going to give you 5 initiatives. We're going to go through each one. The first one is wayfinding. And these are directional signs for people and vehicles. Now, these are extremely, extremely helpful. So thank you, county, and these are what they call TOD signs, tourism-oriented displays. These were exceptionally great, and it was really nice having them. I mean, without them, we were using our, hey Siri, can you take me here, there. We were having to use navigation for everything to try to find stuff. So those were very, very helpful. Happening to know where these are and how many kilometers down the road they are was great. I mean, you've got these everywhere, but some of them don't quite even close the sale. It'll say, Blyth Festival is down that way. And by the way, Blyth Festival, we thought was a festival grounds until we found out what it really was. You know, but then there's some signage like Butterfly Garden, never found it. Never found any mini museums. We don't know where they are. But we went down the road right there, but then the wayfinding kind of just stopped. And I don't know if you walk down a trail and they've got historical displays, not too sure where these things are. So the sign took us there, but we couldn't figure out, there was nothing there to close the sale. We were confused by some of your wayfinding, like we have the G to G, is that Goderich to Guelph? Is that what that, or the other way around, depending on where you live, right? Trail, but then it says Blyth Trail. So I can't figure out whether the G to G trail is different than the Blyth Trail. We have 2 signs, different organizations. We find displays like this, and now it's the Blyth Greenway Trail. I don't know what happened to the Guelph to Goderich Trail. And maybe it's the same one, and this, the Blyth Greenway Trail is part of that trail. Don't know, there's nothing that says. So these are the things that get a little bit confusing. But with the wayfinding, you know, these are very helpful. We're glad to see those. But we noticed a lot of places all over the county where they're just taking it into their own hands. You know, like Blyth Farm Cheese, which is awesome, by the way. It's great. You know, or we come into, I think this was in Clinton, you know, where we just say, well, we'll just put a sign up there and then, oh, we need our sign there. Oh, and we'd like to put a sign down here. We just start tacking up our own signs everywhere. So there's no coordination. We could find no signage to police, fire, hospitals, medical, community service. No wayfinding anywhere in the county. We don't know where your schools are. We don't know where most of your libraries are. There's no wayfinding. We can find tourist attractions, but that's it. And so wayfinding are signs like this. You know, I took that down in North Carolina earlier this year. Or wayfinding signs like this. You can see that one right up here, right here. And that sign was about $700. It's on an existing power pole. And in this town of Appleton, which is in Wisconsin, it has an aqueous coating, so snow and ice won't stick to it, graffiti won't stick to it, stainless steel hardware. And they put up 18 of those, and their retail sales services increased by almost 20%, just adding signage. So, you know, so this whole system, I think you need to do it countywide. And then each municipality, South Huron, Central Huron, North, can each say, let's all do this together and do a wayfinding system so we can direct people from each town, each area of the county. And so when you do this, it will make a huge difference. Always hire professionals. You know, this is something a local public works very seldom can get right. It's a science as much as it is an art. So whatever type of wayfinding that you do, I think would be fantastic. And by the way, navigation systems are not a substitute for wayfinding. Wayfinding, we use navigation systems to find things we already know exist. We use navigation. When you do signage, you might show, there were things we found, tourism assets, we found that if it wasn't for those signs, we would have never even known they existed. And so this is not a substitute for that. It plays a major role in your branding efforts, that whole look. You know, it's a major component in your marketing efforts. It reinforces a positive experience. It increases spending. Actually, it's true. Nationwide, and this is in the U.S., and I'm sure it's the same in Canada, wayfinding signs will increase retail sales and services by more than 15%. Educates visitors, locals, about what you've got and where it's located. I mean, we can keep going down there. It builds community pride. It mitigates traffic and parking issues, on and on. So when you do a wayfinding system, it's right down to the very, very specific design, construction documents, fabrication documents, and where every sign goes. So you actually do a signage system. And so these are just examples of one, and I'm not going to spend much time on it, but it gives you an idea. This was in Edmonton, in Old Strathcona area of Edmonton. Heck, this is the wayfinding system that is in Bracebridge. And there's the mayor in the center right there. And Bracebridge put up their signs, and their retail sales increased by almost 25% by just helping people find things. And so they did a really great job with it. And so what needs to be included are all these things. I mean, where are these things? If we're checking out your community as a place to live, you know, we'd like to know where these are. And very few of your recreational assets were in any signs. In Goderich, it was a real problem because you don't have street signs. It's Gallery Road, Library Road. You know what we learned is we wanted to find a place that sold propane in Goderich. And they said, go down Suncoast Drive. But now it's St. Vincent de Paul Road, I guess. Because the signs don't say street names. They say things, you know. So I said, oh yeah, if you want propane, you got to go up to the street sign that says St. Vincent de Paul and turn right, and it'll take you down there to Huronia, the welding supply place. And so I would actually turn these back to street signs and do wayfinding signage. And then, you know, then there's also pedestrian wayfinding. So in Blyth, for instance, we know there's a theater there, and it says, what does it say right there? Blyth Memorial Community Hall. But we're not sure whether this is the theater, whether that's the theater, whether the theater is over there, whether the theater is over here, or is this just a museum? Once we're there, where is it? Because there's no signs on any of the buildings. And so this is where you need pedestrian wayfinding. Or And for a place like Goderich, I would suggest signs like this that you see from car or from on foot if you're in the town square area. But I think this type of signage would be great. And I hope Goderich puts their street names back on there, because a lot of times we're looking for addresses. And we can give it to our navigation systems, but it's a lot easier if you just say, well, here's Suncoast Drive, turn there. Okay? So, that's wayfinding. That is something that each community could buy into, but I think overall, if the county would take the lead and say, okay, now we'll have our municipalities in, we'll have our towns in it, and each maybe pay for a pro rata share. There are grants to cover wayfinding. And so that's number one. Help us have a better experience in Huron County. Make it easiest for us to find stuff. Initiative number two, branding. This is not about logos and slogans, but what is each of your towns known for? We love the fact that we saw Walton was the motocross capital, right there. And I went, yeah, I don't know where the motocross tracks are or why it's the motocross capital, but at least they stand for something. One nice thing about that, if we had a kid that was into motocross, or if I was into motocross, and it was my passion, guess where I'd want to live? Because we don't live in places that have something for everyone. We did this in Alberta when Devon became Alberta's bike town. And all of a sudden, all these kids with bikes and BMX and everything started moving to Devon, which is like 20 minutes outside of Edmonton. And they started moving to Devon because they're all about biking, and their kids wanted to be about that. So for each of you, what makes you worth a special trip? What is your town known for? And so that's really great. And Blyth, it's surprise, surprise, a small town that knows how to think big. I got to tell you that when we arrived, we figured, where should we start? So we just said, we'll pick a straw of that. We said Blyth. So our second day here, we went over to Blyth. I sent Heather an email. I said, Heather, I think we really underpriced this project, because we spent our entire profit margin the first day in the old mill. I mean, there were people there from Toronto. And we saw that. I just went, wow. I mean, this is an amazing place. And it's in Blyth? What's the population of Blyth? Like 1,000 people? I mean, it's like, wow. So this is the little town that really thinks big. I mean, this is quite the experience. Matter of fact, we've been there twice. The second time cost more than the first time. And then we went right next door to one of the nicest breweries we've ever seen anywhere, and we travel 250 days a year. I mean, nothing beats this. And I love the fact that, first of all, the food is so good, we went there twice just to eat. And there it says, what does it say? Canada's destination brewery. This is not just Ontario's destination brewery. This is Canada's. This is the little town of Blyth. And so Blyth just blew us away. And when you get past those big things, you got some great retail shops like Maple and Moose there. Just really, really terrific. Wild Goose Studio. For this little town, we were just totally impressed. I even thought, well, maybe they should brand themselves as an arts village or performing visual fashion and brews. I don't know. But that put Blyth on the map instantly. I was shocked. I was like, wow, where'd this come from? This is where we started. So guess what? Everybody else now has to live up to this. And so a brand is a promise. So to be successful, you must deliver on the promise. So we went to Brussels. And what is the slogan? Ontario's prettiest town. Now, I think the mural there was absolutely fantastic, but I don't know what this town is known for. It's got beautiful architecture, but what we saw were about 90% vacant buildings, no shred of beautification. Now, it might be really pretty outside of downtown, but remember, we see the sign we're driving, this is what we see. And so we're judging the book by the cover. I mean, I think it's great what they did here. And we're seeing the buildings are a little bit on the rough side. Now, when we went out and started exploring a little bit, we could see some really cool stuff. So I could see where it'd get pretty. But I got to tell you what happened is in all of our travels, and even for people looking for a place to live, they'll still use the same resources. We used Google, TripAdvisor, and Ontario's West Coast, those 3 websites. We type in things to do in Google in Blyth or Brussels, and we get the Google list and the reviews. And we went to TripAdvisor, and then we go to Ontario's West Coast. So we went to Ontario's West Coast, and we read this. So we'd done Brussels, we came back, and then we read, and in this text says, unparalleled accommodations like the DeWitt Luxury Suites. Once the difficult decision of where to stay has been established, there is no question as where to head next. Jar Jam Pub and Eatery or to JR's Family Restaurant. Then do the historical walking tour. Visit Cranbrook Acres Alpacas, and it went on with this flowery language. So we're sitting there going, did we miss something in Brussels? I mean, this is the website a couple days ago. So we said, we better drive back out there because somehow we missed all this huge grandeur things that we'll find in Brussels. And so there it is. The DeWitt, it's all for lease. I mean, there's storage boxes up there. I mean, these are really luxury suites. It's empty. And by the way, here is Jar Jam, Pub and Eatery. You got to deliver on the promise. I mean, this is JR's Family Restaurant, but for us, we were shocked that it's also a gas bar. And I think they're talking about automobile fluids there when they talk about gas. I'm not sure. But I'm just making a joke. Wasn't very funny, I know. But we had these big impressions like, yeah, not so much. I mean, they did talk about the spa. I think it is still operating. We're not really too sure. But for Ontario's prettiest town, yeah, I'm not so sure. So the last thing you want to do is let people down. I mean, this is fantastic. There's no signage there. I think it's called The Barn, but I don't really know if it's just an event venue. The first time we were there was something going on. There's no signs. I don't know if it was a public event, a market, or if it was a private wedding. I don't know. They were kind of clearing out when we got there. But you have to deliver on the promise. If you're the prettiest town, you need to look like it. People from Goderich are now going, uh-oh. What's he going to say when he comes to us? But each town, create a destination Zurich team, a destination Clinton team. It's a group of locals that say, what do we want to be known for when we grow up? What makes us worth a special trip? And this is from everywhere. I mean, in Zurich. And by the way, back to that destination development library, I just created a whole bunch of little short 15, they go 10 to 20 minute videos on branding, why it should be your top priorities. Here's the 10 rules, the 10 steps, how to develop a brand, product development versus marketing, well-branded places. There's some ideas there. I mean, it keeps going on and on. These are short little films. I hope each committee creates this little team. It might include a Chamber of Commerce, elected officials, local businesses, property owners, and say, what do we want to be known for? So in Brussels, I thought, I don't know what they want to be known for, but I'm going to give you, if you want to say we want to be the antique capital of Ontario, I'm throwing that out there. I don't think that's probably it. But then I would go to all those property owners downtown and say, you know what, can we bring in antiques into your store, your store, your store? If we had 30 stores full of antiques in Brussels, you'd have people come from all over the province because you would own the brand. So whatever it is, you have to decide what do we want to be and then what kind of business do we want to attract back into our downtown. So now, Goderich's turn. Now, we went from Ontario's prettiest town to Canada's prettiest town. And I got to tell you, Goderich is beautiful. I mean, it is stunning. I could see it. And remember, we're here during mud season, so the trees are just now starting to bud out. After today, maybe they're going to go back into hibernation. But what we saw in beautiful homes and everything, I said, I could understand where Goderich gets this. You know, I mean, I've worked the whole waterfront all the way up Lake Huron. I mean, in Port Elgin and Southampton and Kincardine and all the way up. But you have this high bank that theirs is mainly flat right down to the lake. I thought it was just absolutely stunning. So I could see how you could get this on the waterfront. But when you say you're Canada's prettiest town, we're going to judge the book by the cover. And remember, you have some stiff competition. Victoria is one of the prettiest cities in the world. But we don't have to go that far. Goderich, are you saying that you're actually prettier than Niagara-on-the-Lake? See what I mean? I mean, this is Niagara-on-the-Lake. Granted, it's during the peak season. We're going to be here tomorrow. I don't know what's going to look like in mid-April. But this is what you're stacking yourself up against. I mean, there's also Elora. There's also St. Jacobs. Even the road in Kincardine. I mean, these are gorgeous, gorgeous towns. I mean, this is Elora. You know, and I'm going, wow, Goderich is even prettier than all of these. And so I've got an idea for you because I think you could still claim that title. And I know you're really beautiful behind it, but when we're in the middle of downtown, it didn't seem that pretty. So we'll talk about that. So for each town, what sets you apart? What makes you worth a special trip from Goderich, from Kitchener, from Guelph, from London, from Owen Sound, from Barrie, from anywhere else? What do you have that makes you special? Blyth had it, for sure. You know, and it could be as simple as we have Ontario's best cinnamon rolls, and that was rated by TripAdvisor or Yelp or Google Reviews said so. So it doesn't have to be a big Disney thing. It could be just something that says we're going to drive out there because they have the very best cinnamon rolls. Something. And usually, by the way, the best brands are private sector. So now we talked about wayfinding. We talked about branding. What do you want to be known for? I could spend all day on that one. Invite us back. This was a major problem. If we come here in October, November, December, January, February, March, April, clear up until long weekend in May, about 8 months of the year, and you're closed, at least invite us back. So, Blue Water Golf, you have a reader board. There's nothing on it. I mean, this looks like a really beautiful golf course. It looks really nice. I have no idea whether it's in business, whether it's out of business, whether they're just not open yet. And I kept thinking, put on there, are you open or not? Or we're going to open May 1st or April 5th, whatever it is. Do you have public play? Are you open for public play? Do you have 9 holes or 18 holes? Do you have club and cart rentals? Is there a pro shop? Is there a restaurant? Anything. Invite us back if you're closed. Invite us back. You know, we're going up. We went, by the way, went all the way to the very northern tip of Huron County and then kind of turned around. On the way, we saw Point Farms, the provincial park. And so we pull over here. We see there's the provincial park. We pull in there, and there's one car there, and all the gates are closed and everything. Nothing says when they're open, if they're going to be open, nothing. Invite us back. When will you be open? So we're here in mid-April. Tell us, right now, the safe time to come to Huron County is June, July, August. And what happens is you're limiting yourself to a really short season. Here we go, the jail. Is it pronounced Gale? Jail. It is pronounced jail, even though it's spelled like, okay. So here we go, the historic jail. So here we are at this. And we walk up to the door, and it's got the little command strips, but there's nothing that says when or if it's ever going to be open. I mean, for $5, you could put some kind of thing on there that says this is when we're going to be open, or we're never going to be open, or whatever. Granted, there is the reader board out there, which doesn't, And it says that the Gale is closed for the season. Instead, why don't you say we'll open middle of May or June 1st? Now, I know a lot of this stuff is COVID related. We're starting to get back to normal. As we find each variant from Delta to what was the last one, they keep getting weaker and weaker. What's happening in both countries is we're having to learn how to live with it like we've lived with the flu. We've now got all kinds of treatments, and I don't want to get into the political side of it, but we have to learn how to live with it. And so you might say, well, the reason we're closed and the reason there's no sign there is because of COVID. We couldn't get our senior workers who are at high risk to work there because of COVID. Well, then tell us, we hope to open June 1st. Or go to a website and we'll tell you when we're going to be open. But please invite us back. And by the way, that reader board also said the Huron County Museum was open. We thought this was the museum. We thought the museum was in front of the jail. But there's no signs there, so we thought, well, it says the museum's open, the jail itself is closed. So we went up to the door, and there's nothing there. Nothing that says it's ever going to be open. Well, that's because we didn't realize that. We later on found the museum by accident. But invite us back. In downtown Goderich, the Livery, which is I'm not sure, is this still a theater? Do they do productions in there? Is it ever open? I know COVID shut it down. Will it be open in 2022? Anybody know? It will? In May? No signs, nothing. There's nothing that says, come back and enjoy us in May. Here's our upcoming performances. There's just nothing there. I mean, and our deal is we thought COVID shut it down, it was permanently gone. What else are we going to think? There's nothing that says, please come back in middle of May. No signs on the doors, nothing. And this is a problem everywhere. Around Courthouse Square here, are there ever performances on this stage? Do you have like weekly or concerts in the summer or anything? In the summer? Then why isn't there a reader board out there? It doesn't have to be electronic. It'd just be one of those like at the golf course. Why isn't there a reader board that just says, join us in May. Here's our 2022 schedule events every weekend, every other weekend, at Farmers Market, whatever you got, invite us back. And it looks phenomenal. We went to the library in Goderich. And we could see the Ruben Salos Gallery. We said, well, cool, let's go into the gallery. So we see it right there. We go in, and it says the gallery is up in the mezzanine. So we took the elevator up a floor and walked out, and there was no, and then we saw, oh, there's the mezzanine, it's over there. So we went back down the stairs, walked over to the stairs, and it says, this access is closed, take the elevator. So we went back to the elevator, pushed the button to the mezzanine, wouldn't work at all. Just wouldn't work. So I went out to the front desk and said, we're trying to go up to the gallery. She goes, oh, it's closed. I said, are there any plans to open it? No idea. I mean, how many of these do people go through before they start on Facebook, Instagram, start telling their friends, we love Huron County, but nothing's open. And there's no invitations to come back. And so out here, I mean, you can see we found lots of stuff. I love this whole story here, and it did a great job telling the story on the interpretive side. And we went up and, it tells all about it. I thought it was cool that this guy and his wife for 39 years taught school. And it wasn't open. I actually put my camera up to the window to take that picture, but it said closed due to COVID. I understand, totally understand. Well, instead of telling us why you're closed, telling us when you hope to reopen or where we could go on some website to find more information. Because Ontario's West Coast tells you that everything's open always, for the most part. And so just tell us, invite us back. Even businesses. So we were out, where is this? I can't remember now. And we were out there, we saw Katie's Station, was rated well on TripAdvisor. It says open for takeout, okay? So I thought, well, I wonder if it's still just takeout because of COVID. So there was a car parked out in front, 2 cars in the back. So I thought there must be a customer here, and the workers are parked in back. Went up to the doors, closed, locked. Middle of the day, middle of the week, even we went there twice, always closed. So I don't know if they went out of business. I don't know if it really is only takeout or if we just somehow missed their hours. No information. So it's not just the museums and the nonprofits and the golf courses, it's even businesses like this. Now I will tell you that here at Goderich Sunset, they did a great job. We have 18-hole golf course, par 3, 9 holes. It's got a driving range. The public is welcome. Look, they're using a reader board. Isn't that awesome? Join our team Saturday, April 16th. And then they have this sign here. By the way, signs should always be perpendicular to traffic. The only way I read that is this: we're driving by on the highway. But there it even says we have, what does it say there? Great for beginners and seniors, families, work team parties, club rentals to juniors. I thought that was really cool. They did a good job. They even have this reader board there. We're open, book at tea time online. Now they should add the URL to that so I know where to book it, what their URL is. But it looks nice. They did a good job inviting us back, even if we're not going to golf while we're here. It looks like a great place. The most shocking one of all was this. We saw that and went, oh my God, there's finally something that can give Blyth a run for their money. That is one of the nicest it was like Huron Country Playhouse, one of the nicest ones we've ever seen. And I went, wow, there's no reader board out by the road. There's no information. So we parked. I went, well, let me go up and see what's going on there. And I tell you, I felt like COVID was Armageddon. Because January 19th to January 20th, 2020, what happened? March 6th, boom. They just got shut down. And so that's how old the stuff is here. This is 2020. This September 14th and September 21st, that was probably supposed to be later in 2020. Maybe that was 2019 even. I'm not even too sure. And even the windows are covered with cobwebs and everything. I went back to the vehicle, and Jane and I both said, what a shame that this went out of business. It's gone, permanently gone. What would your impression be? Now, here's my question for you. Will this be open in 2022? Yes. Not anything, anywhere that says, please come and join us again. It's been a long time. We miss you. Nothing. It's all, nobody's even cleaning up the cobwebs. It's just so sad. So add a reader board out there at the street. And then right next door, we've got a winery. And I could see a few cars parked out in back, but there's no signage that says when they're going to be open, if they're going to be open, if they're open on weekends, nothing. And so can you see kind of people are coming here and they're getting frustrated. We go up the highway again, Lakeside Flea Market, If it's a big attraction, when is your flea market? What time of year? Always invite us back, everywhere. This is the stage right in Goderich out there overlooking the lake. Does anything take place there? Then let's put a reader board. These don't have to be expensive. Just that says, during the summer, we have this happening here or that happening here. Invite us back. Have I said that enough yet? And so those are the challenges. And I could keep going. Check out movielinks.ca for theater info. And at least they did, could I have your attention, please? We will be opening Wednesday, April 27. Yes! Finally, somebody said when and if. So, here's one thing you need to know about this. The number one reason people travel is to visit friends and family. So they're visiting you. When they visit you, do you even know when any of those are open? And you live here. See, and that's the challenge. So even for those people, I wonder how many, we ran into locals say, why are you here this month? Nothing opens till the end of next month. We had people at Livers say that. And it wasn't really the case. So that's number 3. Always invite people back. Don't send us away. Number 4 is downtowns. Okay? This one's really important. And I got to tell you, there's nothing you can invest in besides school that has a greater return on investment than your downtown. That's downtown Edmonton. And so back to some of those facts. When it comes to tourism, the number 1 activity of visitors in the world is shopping, dining, and entertainment in a pedestrian-friendly setting. It might not be what brought us here, but it's our number 1 activity once we arrive. I mean, shopping, dining, entertainment. That accounts for 80% of all non-lodging visitor spending. Because we can come and walk your conservation areas, we can come and walk your trails, we can get out on your lakes and waterways and not spend any money here. Then just go back home to Guelph or wherever we're from. But that is really critical. And by the way, here's another one for you. Ready for this? 70% of all consumer retail spending takes place after 6 p.m. Is there a place in this county that doesn't roll up its sidewalks at 5? See what I mean? That, by the way, that came from the National Retail Federation, which includes Canada and the US. And granted, that's a lot of big box stores, but that is 70% of all consumer spending. Here's what you have to realize when it comes to tourism. If during the day we're out playing golf, we're out bird watching, we're out bird hunting, we might be out fishing, we might be out doing all your recreational stuff. Then we come back into town at 6 o'clock. Are you open? And that is a big deal. You know, and so you got to ask that question, are you open? And there comes that statistic right there. Waiting for the guys. Usually there's a guy in the audience who pipes up right about now and says, that's all? Or tell me something I didn't know. But I'm not being facetious. That's actually a true fact. And there's the other one, 70% of all travel decisions. I call this the 787 rule. 70% of consuming takes place after 6 p.m. 80% is women. 70% first-time sales come from curb appeal. Curb appeal. We're going to talk about that. And then fact number 11, downtowns are the litmus test for site selectors, for future residents, new businesses, new investment, investor groups, you name it. They're going to judge you by your downtown, good, bad, or indifferent. That is really critical. And I've been on the site selector. I've done that. And so I know that's what we do. We go in downtown. If it's a thriving downtown, this is a place our employees are going to want to live. And so I'm going to go into this downtown, break it into several categories. Number 1 is the power of beautification. And you just saw that statistic. 70% of first-time sales comes from curb appeal. Have you ever gone, we all travel, have you ever gone anywhere and said, that looks like a nice place to eat? We all do. We judge the book by the cover. Then we go to TripAdvisor and Yelp and everywhere to make sure that the reviews are good. But always curb appeal. So, and I'm skipping around the county here. I didn't want to go town to town to town to town. This is downtown Goderich. I think the merchant did a good job right there, just putting something out even this time of year. But I wanted to share something with you. This is in a town in Neenah in Wisconsin. They get a lot of lake effect snow, similar weather to you. And you can see the fronts of those shops. That's before, that's after. Retail sales went up 35%. Just going from that to that. And by the way, the rule of thumb is cities, municipalities should do curbside beautification. BIAs or businesses should always do the facade side. It has to be a public-private partnership. I mean, in most of these shops, you know, I can't tell who's open and who's not. There's no beautification. There's nobody watering any plants. There's nothing there to pull us in the door. It's just all hardscape. And so we judge the book by the cover. I mean, Blyth Inn, would you stay there if you didn't know it? There's no curb appeal. And it might be fabulous. I think the sign's good and everything, but the paint's falling off, and I mean, there's just nothing there. No pots, no planters, nothing. And a few businesses around the county, I'm jumping towns here. This is downtown Goderich. They did a great job. I love the color. I mean, it tells me they're in business and they're open. And I'm telling you, that pulled my eye from across the square, which is quite a distance. I think this person did a good job here. Even if it's silk for right now. I mean, just anything to tell us you're in business and you're open. But, Part 2 Bistro was one of the highest rated restaurants in the whole county. Now, I will tell you something about them. I'm going to rag on them for a minute. Because we were out, we forgot that Good Friday is a national holiday in Canada. So on Good Friday, we called them and said, are you open today? We just left a message. Are you open today? Do we need a reservation? If you don't mind, could you call us back? We never heard from them. But if they were closed that day, that makes total sense. But they could have called us the next day. Hey, so sorry we missed you yesterday. Nothing. Never heard from them. I don't know when they're open, if they're open. There's zero curb appeal there. It's supposed to be really good. I mean, it's just, and this is supposed to be the prettiest town in Canada. So I think one thing you could do would be this. Here's a really cool idea. And these are just suggestions. I think you could do a buying co-op, and I'm going to give you an example. We're working in the town of Fredericksburg, Texas. Population about 8,000, so about the size of Goderich. And one of the merchants said, we got to do something with our storefronts. And so this one merchant went down the line and said, look, I want to go out and I want us to put our pots like every couple of feet, for you every meter, or even a little closer than that. And say, I want to just go buy a bunch of pots. Would you please donate? One person donated $5. The average was about $60. One person donated $200. A couple people, $150. It was all over. At the end of the day, their downtown is smaller than Goderich if you were to take around the square and stretch it all out. So I'm not even talking about the side streets going into the square. And they went out, they raised about $5,000 or $6,000. They went out to a wholesale nursery right about September, October, the end of the season. And I said, we'll take all the pots you got. And so we want 20 inches, sorry, speaking feet and inches, 20 inches or bigger opening. We don't care if they have a hairline crack, if they have a chip out of them, or if there's one pot that doesn't have a matching pot. We'll take everything you got for pennies on the dollar. Somebody loaned them a flatbed truck. They went out and took that truck there. They loaded it up with pots. Then they brought it back downtown, put it on a side street and said, merchants, help yourselves, line them up. And they didn't say, you paid $5, you only get one. They just said, line them up. And so they went and lined up all these pots down there. You could see what's in them, mainly evergreens. This lady took these 2 pots. There was a bunch of pots left over, so this person did a grouping of them. So they lined them up down the street. Then they brought in a load of topsoil about March or April. So they brought in the topsoil right then. And they paid high school students. We said, we want you, they brought in some rock, landscape fabric, and topsoil. Put it in the side street and said, students, it could be a hockey club, it could be sports, cheerleaders, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, any youth organization that was looking to raise money. They paid each one of them like $200 or $300. And their job was to get and they provide the wheelbarrows. They put some rock in the bottom, a cut of landscape fabric, fill them up with topsoil. This is in that October. So they filled them all up. And then what they did is, it's winter, we're not going to plant. They filled them full of pinwheels and Christmas decorations. They made the national news. And then in the spring, they went out and did a buying co-op and planted them with evergreens. And then, does that make you want to go in? A good blade sign, I'm coming to that. And look at that, makes you want to go in. Guess what? They never had any vandalism problems because kids protect things they take ownership of. And they did that for a few $1,000s. They made it. It was then later called the prettiest town in Texas. And Texas is big, like Ontario. And so that's a cool idea you might do. The next thing businesses need to do is extend window displays to exterior spaces. I've worked in towns where local bylaws do not allow you to put things out in front of your businesses. If you have that, get rid of it. And so this was in Mount Morris. This is in New York State, in western New York State. But this is like in October. Look at what they did. This is extending window displays to outside spaces. So if you're not going to do pots and planters, then do stuff like this in the fall, winter. Now, remember, I'm here in April. But I went and looked at photographs of downtown Goderich, Clinton, and everything. And I'm getting to one thing I know you're going to tell me about in a minute. But merchants should be given, that's a little less than a meter, outside their stores to put tables, chairs, hay bales in the fall, whatever it is that's window displays to exterior spaces. I took this in Canmore, Alberta, one of my favorite towns in Alberta. This lady every morning gets out there and puts out that. She said it takes her about 20 minutes. She goes, well, if I didn't do that, they wouldn't even know if I'm in business. This is also in Canmore. Even the bikes on the bike shop, the way they put them back there so that they don't stick out too far. They have them, lifted up that way. I mean, this sells home accents and furnishings. I mean, how cool is that, what they did? Downtown Canmore. This is downtown Canmore. I mean, this is a town of 8,000, 9,000 people, outside of Calgary on the way up to Banff. But look at that. Extend window displays to exterior spaces. So, and if you wouldn't put it in your display window, then you don't put it outside, because this makes you look like a garage sale town. It lowers the quality. Now, you can have a garage sale weekend and fill it full of tables, chairs, but most merchants would not put a table in their display window, then you don't put it outside. Because it just reduces the value of your downtown and the business. Consider air curtains. I mean, I took this in the Sierra Nevadas in January. These are all silk. But notice the door open, there's an air curtain up there. So it's obvious that she's open. And that's how cool you can do things like that. I mean, but same here. Now for shoes, it's a little different. But I would still put more window displays. See the window displays? Set them out on that table with shoes gathered around, rather than just, this is our sale table. But at least they did some beautification. Those are silk. We went and checked them out. But at least it had some color. At least they're trying. I thought this was a good job right here. So a few people are doing it. But, and in Clinton, by the way, see those displays right there? Those aren't displays. That's somebody getting rid of furniture they don't want. It says free. I thought, oh, look at that. They put out displays, but no. And so, without curb appeal, we judge the book by the cover. And so, it's almost impossible to tell who's in business and who's not. In Clinton, we didn't know. Brussels, we didn't know. Some are a little bit obvious, that like Rack and Room, that beautiful window displays, great signage, but once again, there's no curb appeal. And this looks like a nice shop. It was closed both times we were there, but I think, but it would be nice if there was some curb appeal. And by the way, once again, we're open only till 4. And it means locals that work and go to school and stuff can't even go there unless it's on weekends. And so those are challenges. I would love to see you put a row of pyramidala shrubs or something along here just to make it look better. Delicious right here. Does anybody know? Is it in business? No? It is? See, wouldn't have any clue. Catering. Oh, it's only catering? Because it says eat in, take out, catering. But now it's only catering. See what I mean? These are the disconnects. And what happens is, when we tried to go there and it was all locked up and everything, and it looked like it wasn't in business, then we just assume, well, I don't know if any of these other ones are still in business. Now, here's what I hear, and I've heard this all over this province and other provinces. But Roger, you don't understand our winters here in Ontario. That's Port Elgin in the middle of December. Granted, there wasn't a lot of snow right there at that day. You can see it kind of melted. And by the way, her shop was packed full of people. Middle of December. I mean, this is in Arthur in Wellington County. And this is just all these shops. They're doing whatever they can to make it look better. I mean, this is Erin in Wellington County, a population of 2,500 in the middle of December. I mean, these are all just cedar boughs, and granted, these are for holidays, but look at these. This is awesome. And it's just consistent all the way down. It's not like one shop and then 5 shops later. It's all the way down the shop, down the street. And Erin, it's just one street long. It's like downtown Clinton or anyone near Brussels. But look at that. I mean, it can work in the winter. This is St. Jacobs in the winter. Or this is Erin. This is still Erin. But I just thought for a little town, this is fantastic. This is Elora in the winter. They can raise them up. And what happens is the merchants get out there, and believe it or not, the merchants actually shovel their own sidewalks. That's how you do that. I mean, this is downtown Elora in the winter. And granted, even after Christmas, they just change out all the Christmassy stuff. I thought this for women's fashions was the most awesome display. How cool is that? So there is no excuse for not having anything that makes us stop and say, wow, we got to go in that place. And then I do have an idea for the town square. I'm coming to that. Next thing is, in these downtowns, is your community. I call downtowns a community living room. Remember, quality of life? Where's your community living room? And I'm going to get more into that. But I want you to take a look at this next photo. What do you see? That was not staged. The men are sitting out there, and I wonder where their wives are. And once again, I'm not trying to be facetious, but I have 2 words for you. Think benches. I mean, this is Jane. She could tell she was not real happy about me using her as a model there. But you gotta think benches. I mean, they don't all have to be cookie cutter. They need to be benches people would actually sit on, but think benches. Why do you think we do this at our homes? It makes your home look more inviting. It's the same with businesses. And benches should always be at the facade facing out. Always at the facade facing out. It's your front door. And so, but in most times, there's one bench. And it's facing a power pedestal. So we can't even see the traffic. I think in Goderich, there was like one bench in all of downtown. There might have been a couple more. And they should always be flanked with pots and planters, always. I thought, good job in Clinton. At least this place had a couple of benches out there. But this is Laverne, Minnesota. Same kind of weather as you. Now, granted, I did take these during the summer, but they said this stuff is out there all year. Their restaurant wasn't open today, so the shares are still stacked up. But there's no reason why businesses can't do this. Or this. By the way, this is not a restaurant. That table and the 2 chairs just says welcome. It's actually a clothing shop. I don't know why merchants, you can buy this stuff on eBay, on Craigslist. But these are all in downtown Laverne, Minnesota, which population is about 5,000. These are awesome. Anything that you can do to dress up your businesses. Next are blade signs. When we're driving down the street or walking down the sidewalk, can you tell me what's in any of these businesses? Why should I keep walking down there? When we're driving down the road, we see signs that are perpendicular to us. Driving down the road or walking down the sidewalk. Where are the blade signs? So when you see this, the only reason I only know Maple and Moose and all those shops when I'm across the street. I can't see their signs when I'm on their side of the street unless I walk out into traffic. And so this happened all over look, art gallery, only sign in a whole block that's perpendicular. But it got our attention. It was the only thing we could see. And so that's what you have to understand. I mean, this is everywhere. In downtown Goderich, I think the only one that had blade sign was RBC. You know, but none of these, I don't know what these are. I know what these are now because I'm standing right back here at the edge of the curb. So I can look up there and see what you got. These are blade signs. But I want you to notice something here. It says chocolate, collectibles, trains, restaurant. Always promote what you're selling, not the name of the shop. But you've got to use blade signs. The best towns everywhere have blade signs. I mean, this is in Nantucket. Notice they're all fairly consistent height. I'll give you that in a second. This is Carmel, California. I could go back to, this is Canmore, Alberta again. And so here you go. Here's your general rules. No lower than this, no higher than this. You know, there's your width in meters or inches, whichever you prefer there. These are blade signs. So you want them to be fairly consistent. Some of your towns have big, massive signs that are way up on the roof, which you can't even see from a car because they're up too high. They're out of your line of sight or they're above awnings. You know, and if you had blade signs, you wouldn't need as many sandwich boards because you'd have blade signs. I think Wild Goose, I love that. I thought that was really cool. Art gallery. And then fresh bake, I could understand that. So I'm not dissing blade signs, but I'm not dissing sandwich boards, but if you have blade signs, there's less need to have too many of these. Okay? So, you know, I mean, you know what's down there? I mean, I could go on any of these. I could keep going. What's down there? You know, RBC, there it is, the one blade sign in town. And so that is the challenge. The only way I see these is if I'm across the street. And in Goderich, that's like that's really a wide gap. This is everywhere. No beautification, no blade signs. I have no idea if there's any reason I should walk down that block. And we could do this everywhere. And these are not expensive. You could even do a buying co-op as a town, work with the sign makers, and the sign makers say, look, we're going to give you all of our business, give us a third off. And they'll do it because you're creating a buying co-op. But those way up there, they're way up too high. It's above the awning if I walk underneath, and it's above where you'd see out of a windshield. You know, this one here, okay, this is the Dutch store. Is it in business? Does anybody know? I think that was in Clinton. It is? Half the sign is missing. We thought it had been closed for years. So, you know, and we want these businesses to succeed, but they're not even helping their own selves. And then the second part of this whole blade signs is, we finally went on the website to figure out what the heck this business is. And we still don't really know. I think they sell bulk items, but I'm not sure. We can't, I mean, BYOB used to mean bring your own booze. I don't know what it means now. And it says Zero Waste Depot. I don't know if it's a recycling center. I have no clue. Businesses need to promote what they're selling first and then the name of the store. You know, Forever and Beyond, the only way I could tell what they were is to walk right up to the sign, and there in little tiny yellow, it says Yarn, Gifts, Beauty, and More. It should say Yarn, Gifts, Beauty, and More, and then welcome to, Forever and Beyond in smaller letters. Always promote the lore that's going to pull people in your door. You know, all around the house, I just assume is home accents. I'm not sure. Don't know for sure. At least they did a good job with some beautification. But always promote yourself. Heck, right here, just right over there, is this, white carnation. Have no clue what it is. We did, if you finally stop, get out of the car, and then you could see in little tiny letters, banquet hall and catering. But it should say banquet hall and catering, and then say, welcome to the white carnation. Always promote the lore. Next one, Downtown should be your living room, your community living room. And this is the core of placemaking. So if you use the word placemaking, you want to know what that means? Placemaking, improving the quality of life for your citizens by operating a community living room where the locals can hang out at least 300 days a year. Weather depending. Because the number one priority of both locals and visitors is decompressing in a setting where people gather. So think about the things you do when you invite people to your house. You might do popcorn and watch a TV show or a movie on TV. Well, why don't you do movies downtown? I mean, you might have a small Jenga set. Did you know for $79, okay, $100 Canadian, now, I don't know what it is, you can buy Jenga sets that are like this tall and put them in your downtown in these little plaza areas. If you do that at home, why can't you do it downtown? I mean, board games. We've seen many downtowns with the big chess sets. All of these things you could do at your house. You could host birthday parties. Wouldn't it be great if people brought their families down to host birthday parties or wedding anniversaries or anything in your downtown? I mean, all these celebrations. Downtown is your community living room. You could do barbecues, tailgate parties, watching hockey games, whatever it is. You could do all these things, bouncy houses that people rent at their house. You could do that downtown. I mean, even having fire pits. We've worked in many towns like in British Columbia, in the Kootenay Rockies. They have most of the towns like Nelson, British Columbia, Kelowna, and all those. They'll bring out fire pits in the middle of their downtown in the winter. And they're propane. Musical instruments. I mean, think of downtown as your room. This is Old Strathcona or White Ave in Alberta. And their whole thing is life of the Edmonton Party. And that's where people, we were working in all the towns around Edmonton and said, where do you hang out? They all went White Ave. Because that's what they're about. It's a community living room. That's what they're all about. And every town should do this. So ask your neighbors, what kind of activities will get you to go downtown more often? By the way, once a month would be great if they would go downtown at least once a month. You could get everybody doing that, or once a week. But all these places, Front Porch Cafe, great name for a downtown living room. And by the way, I hope all your downtowns do sidewalk dining, not just during COVID. Should be every summer, all summer. I could even do, I wish I had more time with you. But even this, they took up parking spaces. And they just took out 2 or 3 parking spaces. They put chess sets, checkers, benches, you name it. Nelson, British Columbia has outdoor entertainment. I took this in January in Nelson. It's at 5,000 feet elevation in the Kootenay Rockies. They have street musicians out there pretty much every day of the year. But bring your downtowns to life. I mean, wouldn't that be cool in your downtowns? Even do food festivals. Would be just awesome. So that brings us to the big shift in downtowns and placemaking, the word programming. Too many downtowns create plazas and they're just empty spaces, nothing going on. Downtown needs to be like this room, and we could set up this room however you want. This room could host weddings. It could host meetings like this. When we're done today, we're going to have another meeting here. And so you could rearrange it, same with downtowns. I mean, what comes first in downtown? People there on a consistent basis. So, back to Clinton, back to Brussels. What do you do to revive a downtown? If you can get people downtown on a consistent basis, the retailers go where the people are. So if the people are not hanging out downtown, businesses aren't either. So what comes first? Get people downtown 250 days a year. It doesn't mean you have to have 250 days worth of events. You have to have activity. And I'll explain that. So studies show 250 days a year. So when you say, well, we have a farmer's market downtown and it's every Saturday from 10 to 3 and we do 13 weeks in a row, that's not enough to sustain retailers. So when you do an event downtown, you're not still sustaining. You need that much that much activity. So this is really critical to this. Bring people downtown, put customers in front of their stores, and then not to compete with your retailers. So in Goderich, the streets are way too wide, way too wide. They're wider than all the highways leading into Goderich. And I just went, this is just so impersonal. And I kept going, how do you make this? And by the way, downtowns need to be about people, not cars. People, not cars. Cities everywhere are learning this. I mean, this is just a nightmare, I think. That could be like one lane. We don't need to have 2 lanes or 3 lanes wide. I mean, I love all the angle and parking and everything. And I went, man, could we take this? Could we add a landscape medium out there? And I would actually do cut through. So if parking would be out here now, I would do cut through. So when you get out of your car, you can still cut through this. But I just did this really quickly. I thought, if we could do like a meter wide landscape on the outside of the sidewalks, then move the cars out that 3 or 4 feet. You could even put a bike lane. You could even put this, then a bike lane, and then have your angle and parking, and you would still have well more room than you could have one really wide lane going through the middle, wrapping around the square. I thought, could you imagine we do this all the way around? We build these things and we just beautiful. Because right now, Courthouse Square itself is beautiful, but we really have no trees, no beautification in all these storefronts. And I said, then could you imagine if we start planting trees in these? And we can start putting trees in all these all the way around so that we're creating this corridor that would be just beautiful. I mean, wouldn't that be awesome if you could do that? And then actually we saw a couple people going the wrong way. It wasn't us, we almost did. But we did see people going the wrong way. And I think I got those going the right way. But you could just paint those in the street. But you know what that would do? It would just, people would just go, wow, because you'd have all the trees in the courthouse square, in the actual square, and then you'd have these landscape with lower annuals and everything with trees there that would create shade over your sidewalks for outdoor dining. What else do I have here? So I thought, so can you imagine? So we're not taking anything sideways. So right here, we'd have like a meter wide landscape buffer with street trees in it and everything. This one here, this might be one of the side streets. They have pretty wide sidewalks, and then you might have a bike lane outside of that, and then your angle and parking. I mean, if you want to be the prettiest town in Canada, this would do it. Because right now, around the courthouse, it's pretty, but around here, it's not. It's got great architecture, but really not that pretty. And you would create shade over your sidewalks for outdoor dining. It would just be stunningly beautiful. Instead, what we see is massive traffic and massive cars. And I'm glad to see the cars there, by the way. So we're not taking away any parking. We're just narrowing this huge wide lane down to a really good wide single lane rather than 2 lanes. And we saw people doing this. Even us, we're doing this. We're going, well, do we turn down that road? Do we turn down? We couldn't remember what's where. And so if you can just imagine having the shade trees there. I love the awnings right here at this business. They put like pussy willows there. I thought was really cool for the winter months. You know, then I would activate spaces here like this. You know, there's no reason why you couldn't have one of those big chess sets. You know, I'm going to show you. I would even take maybe a little bit of the lawn out. I wouldn't take much of it. I'd probably put little squares, little paver squares that maybe are 3 times the size of this screen that you could put chess sets on or foosball tables. I mean, I don't know if any of you ever been to New York City, go to Bryant Park. I mean, they're playing ping pong and foosball even in the winter. You know, but everywhere we go, people are creating plazas. Let me give you one example. This was in Rapid City, North Dakota. That was a parking lot. I said, get rid of the parking lot, turn it into a plaza. You don't need to do that. All of you have spaces to create plazas. And they said, you're going to get rid of the parking, you're going to kill our business. Well, they did it anyway and never killed any business. So there it is before. That was that building in the background there is an empty Sears building. This is it before. I told him to take out that Sears building on the right. A guy called me and said, Roger, my name is Ray Hillebrand. And I own a lot of properties downtown, and we're not taking out that Sears building because I just bought it. But I also gave the city $2 million towards the plaza they're going to build right next to my new retail building. Smart. This is before, after. This is on a Sunday at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They got like a farmer's market going. There's a car show going there. I mean, this place is packed. There's that Sears building. It's all full of restaurants, retail shops. You can see the fence there. They actually had a beer garden for this event. All of a sudden, car clubs started coming. Motorcycle clubs started coming. Quilt guilds started coming. All these people wanted to host their events in Rapid City because of Main Street Square. Now, they have a splash pad that runs basically 120 days a year during the summer months. 120 days activity, just the splash pad. Not counting anything they might do on stage. And there it is. In the summer, there's that splash pad. You can see there's a band up on stage. And then in the winter, it's ice for another 120 days. There's 240 out of 250 days right there. Ice for 120 days, splash pad for 120 days. It's activity. By the way, they make $130,000 a year just renting ice skates. And they have to dole them out because it gets too busy. Now, in Canada, every kid is born with ice skates. So we know that. But that's just how popular this is. And that's a little bigger than the one in Rockefeller Center. And even during the summer months at night, they pipe in music and the water goes to higher pressure and they do this music light show. I mean, look at this. Somebody wrote in social media, I grew up in Rapid City. It was never as cool as it is now because they did a plaza. In Goderich, you already got plaza space. It's all the way wrapped around the courthouse. You just need to activate it. You know, this is going to be in downtown Edmonton. That's White Avenue right there. They're working on that right now. But you know what? We don't have to go that far. How about Waterloo? That was before. Anybody remember that? I mean, I'm sure you've all been to Waterloo. This is before. When they said we want to turn this into the plaza, the bank, Shoppers Drug Mart, they started screaming bloody murder. You take away the cars, you're going to kill our business. I mean, and they said, but we got parking across the street back there. You can see it on the right. So they said, let's just try it. So they just tried it. They just moved the cars out. And lo and behold, they started putting activities there and their business went up. I mean, after, how cool is that? I mean, you know, you can see they've got like a choir over there, right there. You can see that's the event. They've got some vendor marks right around there. I mean, look at this place. It's packed. It created a community living room in Waterloo. I mean, this is it even at night. People just going and hanging out there on the square. It's well lit. In the summer months, doing yoga classes right there. This is what I mean. And then in the winter, of course, it's ice. So come and enjoy the ice. So you know what you could do? You could do a plaza on the cheap for all of you. You can do a plaza on the cheap where you go buy some of these things. And you're going to give a handout. You're going to have handouts for this. You're going to have all this stuff. But I just thought you could give Scotiabank. Oops, I'm kicking my table here. You can let them be a sponsor. You put up a sandwich board, say, all these activities provided by Scotiabank or Home Hardware or Foodland or anybody. You don't even have to buy this. They can be sponsored by local merchants. But all these ideas can be put, you do need a place where you can store this stuff. You need a building about the size of this where you can change things out. And with Plaza, I love these sponge chairs. And all of these things. All these things you could do downtown. In a space the size of this room is all you need, or even half the size of this room for the smaller towns. But I just wanted to let you know that you can even rent these little tents and then let local people that make jewelry and home accents or jams and berries, so you almost have like a year-round farmer's market, cornhole tosses, I mean, on and on and on. All of these would be fantastic in any downtown. You know, there's badminton for you. I love Goderich's trail. This was actually in Canmore, where you do fitness things out there. In Canmore, they're using them right in the middle of the winter, all dressed in ski gear. But all of these, chairs, tables, chess, mega chess, this is called Imagination Playground. I was in a town once where they had a bunch of those, and it was like, kid, get out of the way, it's my turn. No, I didn't say that. I wanted to. But really fun stuff, kind of these foam blocks. So Clinton has this little square. It's really a pretty little park. But I thought, man, if you could just put down paver stones here, and the thing is with these activities, change them out every 2 weeks. Just change something out. So people say, I wonder what's going on downtown now. Always change them out or move them around. So it's always changing. I mean, Clinton had a lot of places. They even thought, could you do something right here? Up here where they're working on, I don't know if it's a Veterans Memorial or something, they're obviously doing a lot of work there. But lots of places, even over here, I mean, if that's residential over there, probably not, because we like to make noise on plaza areas. And then, of course, the top amenity would be public washrooms. And we did find this in Goderich. We never did find them. There's no arrows or anything. So I don't know whether it's right here in this stores of public restrooms or whether that's supposed to point somewhere else. Oh, that's in Blyth, I'm sorry. But that's really important. So all this makes sense. None of this has to be expensive. And finally, my last one of these, then I do have some potpourri. Let's talk about marketing. I think you should have a brochure that says the very best of Huron County, of Ontario's West Coast. That's the brand for the county. I like it. It's fine. You know, we worked a lot up and explored the Bruce for Bruce Peninsula, which is Kincardine all the way up to Tobermory. But create this brochure and make it countywide. Best attractions are private sector. You must promote your local businesses. That's the whole benefit of tourism, is getting people to spend locally. So I'm going to show you one. This is this one. This is Alpena, Michigan. And this is what they did. And they even used me because we had to say which ones are the best in the local politics. You said they're the best. I think I'm as good as them. I'll give you criteria so you get past the politics. But Great Lakes, their Heritage Center, this is a town of 10,000 up in the northern parts of Michigan. And so they did this. And by the way, each one of these people were invited. They were all their very best of, and they each paid $400 for their panel in this brochure. So this is a public-private partnership. So this is what they did. And so here it is, the shipwreck tours, Art in the Loft, the Besser Museum. And by the way, the Besser Museum right here couldn't afford the $400. But there was enough from everybody else to let them in there with no cost. Because they're a nonprofit and just didn't have any money. But these are all their very best subs. And so you know what they did with this? Is they printed out, they have 10,000 people live there, so that's like what? That's like 3,000 households. They mailed out one of these to everybody in the county, 30,000 people, about 10,000. They printed 20,000. 10,000, they put it in an envelope and mailed it to everybody. And they put a little card with it that said this: the number one reason people travel is to visit friends and family. We hope you'll hang on to this brochure so when visitors arrive, you will show them the very best of what Alpena or Ontario's West Coast, Huron County, whatever, showcase the best way ever. After all, we believe that every dining room table should be a concierge desk. Within days, people would come downtown and they go, oh my gosh, I got this in the mail. How long have you been here? And the merchant would go, 10 years. It changed everything. Always promote your anchor tenants, because if your best businesses, best attractions do well, everybody else will do well. There were people that said, well, you picked them and you didn't pick me, but they were right next door. And you know what they would say afterwards? Well, you know what? You have my neighbor in this, and everybody that went, they also went in my shop. I mean, look at how many people go to Orlando for Disney World, but while they're there, they also go to Universal Studios. They also go to SeaWorld. They also go to Wildlife Safari. They go to all the other attractions. Always promote. I think this is the best thing you could do. And by the way, this is really important. 32% of travel decisions come from brochures prior to travel, because generally it's friends and family, the internet. But once people arrive, I didn't even have it there. Once people arrive, brochures are number one, even more than the internet, even in 2022. Because now we're in a hotel room, we're in an RV park, we are in a restaurant. We want to look at this, not our phones. And so we will look at this. We'll have this in the car when we're driving down the road. And so 81% once they arrive want brochures. I could not find one county-wide brochure in Huron County, except for the trail guide, which is really good, by the way. This is awesome. But other than that, all I have is a Goderich map. I mean, there's nothing for the county, except for the website. And so, with that, there it is, top activity of visitors. So here's the criteria you could do to get them. And by the way, here's one we did. This was done for Bracebridge. So they're doing them right here in Ontario. Bracebridge has one. I think Huntsville might have one. They were trying to do one for the Algonquin area, all those resorts and stuff up there. But this is Bracebridge is what they did. They got quite a brand and they promoted their incontents. It worked. It worked. And by the way, this is done every year. So if somebody didn't make the cut, if they raise the bar, I'm going to give the criteria in a second. If they raise the bar, next year we want to include you. We want this to grow. So, number one, they had to be open year round. You might say, oh, can we do 8 months? But no more 3 months or 4 months. Okay, number two, they had to be open at least 6 days a week. And in some cases, you might say, well, we allow everybody to be closed on a Monday. I don't know. You can make up your own criteria here. It must be highly regarded by somebody other than themselves. Like 80% positive peer reviews on TripAdvisor, Yelp, written up in regional publications. And then they had to have good curb appeal, had to be inviting, and they had to be open until at least 7 p.m. You have a lot of restaurants that close at 7 and 8. I'm going, really? The rest of the country is open till 10. And so we're eating dinner later and later at night. We're gradually moving to the European standard, and you have a lot of restaurants that still don't understand that. And then they must be unique. So sorry, we're not adding Tim Hortons. And no offense to Subway, Tim Hortons, and McDonald's and all the franchises. These are things that are unique to you. So I'd love to see the county market your top 10 restaurants all over the county, your top 10 retail shops that are must visits, maybe 10 other attractions where there are museums like the jail or Huron County Museum. And while you're here, activities, hiking trails, other things, viewpoints, those kinds of things. I think would be awesome. And that is something that Ontario's West Coast, that organization for the county, should probably take the lead on doing that. So I think that would be just an awesome thing to do. And you cannot let local politics kill the effort. We even created a video there that's how to do this without letting politics kill you. You know, obviously the old mill would be on that list. And by the way, they each pay for their page, but it's not who wants to buy a page. They are invited, because one bad apple can bring down the whole bunch. But Old Mill absolutely should be on there. They need to work on their sign, by the way. Somebody go tell them. Maybe they're waiting for the winter to get over. Obviously Cowbell would be on there. I even say, what does it say on their Cowbell poster? I love it. Escape to Cowbell country. Visit us in Huron County or online. They do a fantastic job. And I would add, by the way, at Cowbell, we went up, we tried that door. We couldn't figure out how to get in that place. So we were walking around. They should put a sign there that says, go around the side. There's no signs. The doors are all locked. We can see people in there. And it must be good when you got the big stretch limo there out in front full of people. Right here, Park House. This is probably our favorite place in Goderich. And the food was really good, but it's the atmosphere. It's just really cool in there. But once again, they had a similar problem. We went up to this door, it's locked. I could see people eating them going like this, and people are looking at me. What is that guy doing? And then we went over to the next door. It's got the menu board and everything. Locked. No signs to say, by the way, the entrance is around back. These are the little things that don't cost any money to fix. I mean, this trail, I can't pronounce the name of the bridge, but this is part of the, what is it, Tiger what? Dunlop. Oh, yeah. And Tiger Dunlop. But I got to tell you, we went down a little side street and it said Tiger Dunlop, and we pulled down there and then it said it was a different trail. But anyway, that looks absolutely epic. We didn't get a chance to walk that yet, but we wanted to. We get so busy working. But that looks just awesome. I would put West Street, Willie's, that was really good food. Great sign, not much in curb appeal, but really, really good, and nice people. Colbert's Bakery right across the street. I mean, whoa, if you ever had their brownies, see, I'm wearing them. Lots of them. But anyway, really a great bakery. I mean, I'm not naming every one of them, but I'm naming the ones that we experienced. The Huron County Museum, absolutely phenomenal. They do a great job. Good signage, good curb appeal. They could use some wayfinding, helping people find it. We went up there. They were actually open. And we could have spent hours in there. I mean, because we were working, we couldn't spend too much time. But they do a really, really good job there. I mean, we did see the log cabin. There's no information, but I'd like to know, is there a story here? Why is it here? So they could add some signs there. Another one. And by the way, this was on Good Friday, and Maelstrom was open. And I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, look at that. Excellent in every regard. Look at beautification. Even though they're out there all by themselves, they do beautification. There's no reason why other people can't do beautification in town. And they do a great job. I mean, just a great job. We were there for a couple hours and wanted to spend the whole day. But they sell a lot of local goods, they just do a fantastic job. I would do a reader board. They said they do music out here during the summer. It was just fantastic. And I just thought, wow. And by the way, we've done a lot of work up in Western New York on the Erie Wine Trail. So this is Lake Erie up there. And they mainly grow Concord grapes, and their wine was like, I don't know if anybody's old enough to remember Annie Green Springs, but some of those, but here the wines are exceptional, really exceptional. And they would tell us, the wine would tell how they've hybrid some of the plants to grow in the soils here with your winters. I mean, they just do a really great job. Next one on that list would be 2nd Street Light Estate Winery, and they were out there working. They're actually getting everything ready. And he does a really great job. We talked to him for quite a while out there. And once again, was open even on Good Friday. And he put out flags out there in the front, so as we're driving by, we could not mistake that it wasn't open. And put winery, those, the big flags there. I should have taken pictures of them. But he does a really good job. He's building a big patio out in back right now. You have some awesome stuff. That's a few of your best of, but I think I only mentioned a couple restaurants because we didn't get a chance to eat at all of them. But like we ate at Black Dog down in Bayfield, excellent. And that's not one of the towns. We tried to eat in these 5 towns as much as we could. The other one I create, so now you have your very best of brochure. I would create a farm to table guide that just has all these, and it might go up into Teeswater and a little bit into Bruce County, Lucknow, or some of those, but I would capture some of these farms, and I would do an actual route. Because Blyth Farm cheese, it's so cool. Number one, the cheese is made from sheep's milk. So if you're lactose intolerant, all of those kinds of things, it's fantastic. And you know what? They're open. They're open. A lot of all this other stuff was closed, but they're open. And another thing they do really well there is they actually tell you, Monday through Saturday, 8 to 5, closed on Sunday. Right there. We don't have to guess. We don't have to drive in and try the doors. Great job. Great family. I mean, they're Van Dorp. I'm not sure if they're Dutch or where they're from, but really nice people, and we love that kind of stuff. Here they do a really good job. We are open. So out in the country, they do a good job. In town, not so much. But Bayfield Berry Farm, Visit Our Farm Market, do a great job. I mean, I'm only showing you a few, but I could see you just doing a whole bunch of these, and let us know. And make sure what you do is you work with them and you say, I want to make sure that we're all open on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, for instance. Because some of them, you don't want to say, well, half of them are open on Monday, some are open on Tuesday, some are open on Saturday, some are, you want to have it fairly consistent. So somebody could come out to the county because your farmlands are incredibly beautiful. Even in the weather we've had, they're beautiful. But right here, I'd love to see Blyth Creek Maple Farm. I don't know if they're open, when they're open. They've got a nice sign. You can go in and enter there, and then you loop around. But I have no idea what their hours are. And we're like a lot of other people who say, yeah, I don't think I want to take the chance. If it's not obvious, we're not going to go drive up there and be kind of conspicuous. Okay, so that's 2. Then you could do, this is something that a private sector person could do that I think would be really cool. We're working in a place called Door County, Wisconsin. And we walked into a store and we bought this 101 things to do. I wouldn't do 101. You could do 50, 60. I wouldn't even put a number there. I would do the hidden gems of Ontario's West Coast. What happened is a guy did this, not even in the tourism industry. The guy was actually Richard Rusnick, and he was a contractor. He said he had all these people always visiting him in Door County, which, by the way, Door County, Wisconsin is in the peninsula, almost like the Bruce Peninsula. It's just the opposite side over on Lake Michigan, whereas you have that on Lake Huron. So, like this, let me just read this one because it's hard to read. Our favorite Sunday morning starts with breakfast at the White Gull Inn on Main Street in Fish Creek. Splurge on a slice of their famous Door County berry sour cream coffee cake sold. Right? Then take a much-needed stroll down Cottage Row. From the White Gull Inn, follow Main Street to Cottage Row and turn right. The walk will take you north along a row of shoreline cottages about 1 mile before it turns up the steep bluff. At the base of the bluff is a sliver of a park known as Champagne Rock. Down and back is a perfect way to walk off breakfast and start the day. Guess what? State parks in Wisconsin, and this nowadays you could do it. It costs him about $4 to print one of these. He sold them wholesale for $10, and they retailed for $15. He sold tens of thousands of them, and the state parks in Wisconsin did a deal where when you bought these at a state park in Door County, Wisconsin, which is like the Bruce Peninsula, they would keep track, and they say, would you mind if we ask you some questions? Can we have your email address? They found out that 80% of the people who bought this book made multiple trips to get through all these little hidden gems. So that could be a private sector one for somebody to do. Because I wouldn't consider Liberation Park in Goderich to be a major attraction. I think it's cute. I still don't understand. I know why it's there. We read that, but I'm not sure what the tie is to Goderich, if it has Dutch heritage, what it is. But it's a cool thing. That'd be a great, even though it's not very hidden, it would be one of those smaller things that's cool to see when you're in town and when the fountain's actually running. And I know that is a fountain. I mean, here's another one in Brussels, this cute little church. These are all these little hidden gems that go out and be fun to find. A lot of these conservation areas don't seem to me to be like major league attractions. Maybe they are, but there's very little information about them other than the actual trails in the trail guide. But it looks great. I mean, it goes over the creek back there. And by the way, we're out there discovering the area, and we couldn't find an open washroom anywhere. Everything's locked up. And even during the week, even on weekends. And so, but that'd be another cool hidden gem. Harbor Park in Goderich would be another great little hidden gem. Even the fitness trail down the waterfront. All these things you could put in a place. So you'd have your major attractions in the best of guide and your very best of. And then you have this little private sector one that somebody could do. I mean, one thing that was marked, by the way, we used 3, Google, TripAdvisor, and Ontario's West Coast. And they were promoting this Apple Park that has a whole bunch of animal sculptures. This is the address provided. So we pull up and we're going, that's somebody's estate down there. I don't see any apple. I don't see any sculptures. I don't know what this is. And then we turned around in the car and went, oh, there it is. It's across the street at a different address. And so this person has a bunch of animal sculptures, and they have people stop and look at them. They don't mind if people walk in their front yard. They do not want to make it a major attraction, and it shouldn't be. It's a great little hidden gem. You know, I mean, even here, like they talk about in Brussels going out, or no, this is Hengveld, let's see. Oh, that's in Brussels. Okay, is that the alpaca farm? Have no idea. Is it open to the public? When's it open to the public? There's no hours. Maybe that's more of a hidden gem than a major attraction if it's by appointment only, or so a lot of things are marketed, but there's nothing there. You can even do a history trail brochure. So people can take the one they're used to. This, Olympia, Washington, which is Thurston County in Washington State. So this is like an hour south of Seattle. They have all these little museums. They were all really suffering because they had no budget. And so they all got together. One lady, Carla Wolfsburg, got together and she went to every museum and said, look, why don't we each pitch in, every museum pitch in like $100 to create this brochure. So here's my question. How many of you would drive an hour to see the house that Bing Crosby was born in? You're sure a mean bunch of people. I'd be one of them. I wouldn't raise my hand either. But what if you had 11 museums, and one of them was his house, but another one was a wax museum, another one is the Capitol Museum, Olympia's the state capitol. What if there was, see what I mean? But if you put a whole bunch of them together, and you happen to love history, now all of a sudden it's worth that hour's drive because you're marketing more than one. And so what's really interesting about this brochure is that they did that. It's in just two colors. It's black and brown are the two colors on it. I mean, there is the Crosby house. I mean, all of these things right here, you can see. And so guess what they did? They created this brochure and they started doing this. Look at that. They tripled the number of visitors while cutting their collective market by 2/3 just by doing this. You could do this with restaurants. You could do this with golf courses. You could do this with all kinds of stuff. And you've done it with a couple of them. Create the Golfer's Guide to Ontario's West Coast. And you do have Ontario's West Coast. You do have the golf courses all listed, but I'd love to have that brochure. And so you can provide, one thing I would do is sometimes we get so caught up in flowery language like, it will challenge any level of golfer with superb greens, tree-lined fairways, and well-placed bunkers. A welcoming clubhouse offering quality, locally sourced foods and a wide selection of beers, wines, spirits, and entertainment, which was redesigned in 2005 by Canadian Golf Hall of Fame member Dan Halsdorsen. And they go through that, and I'm going, I want useful information. Is it 9 or 18 holes? Is it open for public play? How do I get tee times? Do you have a pro shop? Do you have a restaurant? Do you have club and cart rentals? Do you offer lessons? Useful information, not just the flowery language. So add that. By the way, this is a good website. And by the way, there's something I want to say right now. I don't want anybody to go to anybody and say, boy, you sure got ripped by that guy when he came in about your store or your website or something. Don't do that. Because these people that put together this website, I already read that part about Brussels, so they know they got to go out there and update the website a little more often. But I don't want you to go rain on their parade because they're good people trying to get people to come here. These are things, what can you do now to make it even better? Because this is actually a good website, but I'd love to see that accompanying brochure. Once we're here, brochures are number one. We've worked in places where they will do golf courses. We worked in Carson City, Nevada, where they had 9 golf courses, and they called it the Divine Nine. And they all got together and did this brochure. And each golf course would do its point of differentiation. We have some amazing sand traps. We have a 5-star restaurant. We have, some crazy bunkers and roughs. So each one do something a little different, so somebody's incentivized to play them all. So here, Oakwood Golf Course looks terrific, looks great. They got a driving range right there. But once again, kids golf camps with a phone number, use an RL. By the way, on all your business, don't put phone numbers anymore. Nobody's going to call you. We don't even call each other. We text each other and say, is it okay if I call you now? Right? Right? So put a URL, a website address. That's just the way we've gone. White Squirrel Golf Course Restaurant. You can even say the White Squirrel's a hidden gem all by himself there, or herself. It looks great there. I love the building, modern, lots of color. I love it when you go in downtown, all your downtowns, everything's gray, beige, and brown. It's like, come on, add some color. But once you're here, we know it's open to the public, but no other information. Where's all that stuff? Come on, you guys. And so, but the good news is they did say restaurant opening April 14th or 24th. I can't remember. And by the way, that doesn't look great because just when you take a picture with a camera, it doesn't look great. But it's actually a good reader board. So we know the restaurant's open. I have no idea about the golf course. Amongst the hidden gem, Maitland Golf Course. Talking about hidden gem, you have to go down by the marina and then turn a sharp right in there, and to even find this. But once again, there's no information about it. I don't know. These golf courses don't want to do anything. But what was really cool, we're sitting there in our car, and all of a sudden I have this big old honking camera, and then this guy comes by and whoop, whoop. It was like, yeah! Because they're running, I think, grain down to the port down there. But anyway, that was kind of fun. I call it a hidden gem because to get there, you have to go through that. Out at Woodlands, I think it's great. I'm glad that their office is open 9 to 5. I'm not sure about the golf course. But it's like, okay, why don't you tell us when the golf course opens? But it looks really great. But once again, 9 holes, 18, I don't know. It looks like a great golf course. Now, as you leave, and it was beautiful. We had some good weather last week. And here it says course open April 6th. They should have done that on both sides. You already have this one, Ontario's West Coast Vine and Ale Trail, which I think is excellent. It does have this right here. You can download it, which I think is great. I'd also like to see a print copy. We'd like to see somebody do visitor information for the whole county. But I thought this was well done. It tells you where they are. It's got the map. So that one's done. You already got that one. And, we did go out to Bad Apple, speaking of that. Nice, cool place. Nice people that started this, read their story inside. By the way, they have really good pizza. That's primarily what they serve there. But then this really blew us away, that you actually are growing the hops at the brewery. That was pretty cool. I love that. And so that's out there at, River Road. But I thought but right here it says closed. Everybody, don't put the word closed there. Just say we'll be open Monday through Saturday, 11 to whatever. It just said closed, so we don't know whether we should come back or not. Because I don't know if it's closed for the season or closed because we got there too early or too late. No clue. But it looks awesome. Then finally, I would do an RV camping guide. RVing is huge, and they love the rural areas. They're not camping in London or Kitchener or Mississauga or anywhere else. They're camping out here. And they want to be out in the country. And I would love to see you do that. We did go out and find Falls. Is this Falls River? Falls Creek, Falls Reserve. And they were out there working, so we didn't get a chance. But once again, invite us back. So in this guide, it's a little bit different. What you want to market, and by the way, I didn't get a good picture from here, but we could put your picture there. But Walmart could have a panel in there, and Goderich, maybe even Canadian Tire, Huron Welding, Huronia Welding, sorry, I didn't get that right. Propane and supplies, they're the only place that refills propane tanks that I could find. If there's another one in the county, never could find it. Home hardware, what's a PVs, those. Groceries. I mean, this is where you market the things that you go to. Drinking water, where can we fill containers of reverse osmosis water? Propane, event centers, area campgrounds, top 3 hiking trails, boat rentals and gear. I mean, we're looking for this. RVers love this, and they don't want online, they want a brochure. And so this could be all full of stuff. I mean, so tourism doesn't always have to be about tourist attractions. So, you know, and so there's even a video for that. Love to see somebody get together and do that. And finally, my last section. I had a few more notes, potpourri, and this will go town by town, just miscellaneous little things to wrap this up. In Blyth, great gateway signs, looks great. I thought the historical panel, the stories of all the arsons they had back at, when was it, 1900, I thought that was fascinating. I thought it was really well done there. I thought this was great at the trail right there, where it had lots of information and about the trailheads. I wish more trailheads had this kind of information. Right next to this was this building. And I kept going, something like this, if it's savable, could be a really great artist live workspace. There's a nonprofit in the United States called Art Space in Minneapolis. And I'm not sure if they work in Canada, but they buy buildings like this and convert them into artist live workspace. I don't know what the history is. I just saw a cool building that I hated to see go away. And I don't know if it is going away. Maybe it's already being used by apartments or something. I don't know. Does anybody know? What is it? It's a store. Oh, is that the back of Baton's Old Mill? Okay, so we did go in there. That's coming up. Yeah. Okay, I didn't realize that was the back side of it. And I'll tell you more about that. Not sure what this little house is, but I thought it was really cute. I thought it'd be cool if there was a little sign there that explained what it is, why it's there. I think it's really cute. Great shops there. I showed a couple of them. Wonky Frog. I think it's fun. They do a good job with curb appeal. Love to see color. Even when there's no plants growing on those, I think it's just really cool. Blyth for us was just like, how cool is this? I wish some of our towns out in the country and Bruce County could come down to Blyth, see what you did. And speaking, there you go. So what happened is we went to the old mill. And then somebody came up to us and said, well, did you go to their retail shop? I go, well, yeah, that was it. No, in downtown they have one. So we're on the internet, we're everywhere looking for the old mill. But we didn't realize that Baton's is actually, it's 2 different businesses, but it's the same family. So a lady was working in there the other day from Northern Ireland. We talked to her for like an hour, really sweet lady. And it is beautiful what they've got. That's where they have the really nice leathers and everything in there. Had no clue that they don't cross-sell each other either, which I thought, well, that's kind of odd. But they did. She showed us the back room. They're about to open it up for a wholesale, or they're not seconds, they're, what would you call it? A wholesale room where they put, more stuff. And she showed us back there, and it's got all, like triples the size of the store. So when that opens up, it'll be great to have that right in downtown in Blyth. But really a cool place. So yeah, I just didn't connect the 2 buildings. Now that I look at it, it's like, duh. We saw the District Community Center out there, and I'm not sure what this is used for, probably an event center or something. It just says Huron Pioneer Thresher and Hobby Association. Is this a museum? Or is it just where they store threshers and machines? Okay, didn't know. And that's fine. We did see this there. There's no interpretive signs. I don't know what the story is. Add some signage. But this campground is really cool. It's really cool. It's all out in the open field and everything, and it has power and water to all the sites. But is there a dump station? Anybody that's in RV knows somewhere we got to dump the bad stuff. I don't know where it is. I couldn't find it out there. But, what are your seasons? Add more information. And you know how TripAdvisor is kind of like for hotels, restaurants, and everything? Campendium is that for campgrounds. Look at all your campgrounds in your area. None of them have posted their own photos. A lot of them aren't, like this one's not even listed. There's pretty much Huron County. It shows like 7 or 8. It's free. It's free. So all these campgrounds, you got to get listed on Campinia. It's free. It takes somebody an hour to do. Get listed on there. I mean, and add your own photos. And then people can start doing reviews. Falls Reserve got 1 review, 5 stars. But we've got to, that's just easy to do. There's Campinium, All Stays, there's many others. And that video I was telling you about shows that. In Brussels, in Brussels, you have great architecture, but really, what do you want to put in all these buildings? Most of them are empty because they're way too valuable to let go to waste. But you got to decide what you want to be and then attract those kinds of businesses. And if you can get enough of those kinds of businesses, it's going to do really well. The whole town will come back. It is a beautiful downtown. I thought what they did here with these murals was excellent. I'd like to see that in more of those buildings. The town is really set up. It's got parking. It's got a dog park right there. The amenities are there. It's just waiting to happen. So give us a reason to use that parking lot. This here, it'd be good if there's a sign there. I don't know is this privately owned? And is it just for private events? Do they host public events in there?
Yeah, they have markets.
They do markets in there? Then there should be some signs somewhere in downtown that says public market coming this Saturday. But there's nothing, no signs, nothing. And tremendous, because when we were there, it was packed. And you see they're all carrying stuff out. We missed whatever it was. It might have been a private function, it might have been public, but we miss it. The homes, beautiful. And somebody said, we managed to run in, somebody said, you got to go check out Cowboy Loft. A little bit out of town. And so we did go out there. It says now open. And that looked pretty awesome. Maybe this is a best of. I don't know. We didn't get, when we got there, they were closed because it was Good Friday. But it looked like it could be a really cool place, particularly for women's clothes, I guess. So there's Brussels. Tremendous potential, but we got to get rid of the word potential. What do you want to be? And that's the kind of businesses we're going to attract. In Zurich, it kind of stretches out. We did check out the Oakwood Resort. Looks really great. By the way, we love places that have wayfinding signage. And a really great place. It's got the dining room there. We went around, we even went into the town of Zurich. Am I pronouncing it right? Okay, I wanted to make sure. It's just like, I was going to we just got done working in Zurich, Switzerland. I was going to put, it was so great to come to Zurich, and I was going to show you one of their pictures. But anyway, and I thought, I didn't know if you guys appreciate the humor. And so anyway, great, cute little town. This place looks amazing. We didn't have a chance to go inside, but is it amazing? It looks really great. Maybe that's a best of, because it looked really good. I love what they did here. The only thing missing here is, how about your hours and days? All you have to do is add one right down there, Monday through Saturday. Those types of things. We did see lots of places, furniture, decor, and gifts. Not too sure whether it's still in business or not. I think it is, because somebody put the Canadian flag out there, but wasn't too sure. Then we saw the Indian cuisine. It looked like a cute little town. Not a lot of curb appeal, but maybe it's the time of year on some of these beautiful homes everywhere. This county is just beautiful homes, and beautiful churches of just about every denomination. Just really, really pretty. It's just a gorgeous county. Went to Hessenland Inn, checked that all out, drove back in there. You have some amazing accommodations in this county. It's not the usual Holiday Inn and Hampton Inn. These are really cool, small mom and pop, really great place. I think this even has a wine tasting room, am I right? Just looked really cool. I love the staircase up to the top there. Used a little bit of paint, but looks like a great place. I'll bet you they host a lot of weddings there, am I right? Probably, yeah, looked like it. In Clinton, a couple other notes for Clinton. The burgers, they've got a reader board, and it has one word on, open. Well, why don't you put best burgers in here come on, just open. When you have reader boards like that, use them to your benefit. It looks great. They're out there every day cleaning up outside their place. They do a really good job. Nice sign into Clinton. there, and right here. We did find Lions Park there. It looked really nice. We found lots of parks. Love it when people do that. That's how we knew they were open, because they had that out there. But once again, the reader board, use it. If you got it, use it. We did find the harness racing track, which was really cool. We got to experience harness racing when we were working in Inverness, Nova Scotia. And so it was really cool to see that you have this here. Not too sure, where you buy tickets. I think the ticket office might be here. I don't know, maybe it's in the casino, but it looked like a great facility. But once again, there's no signs that say our harness racing season starts, no invitations to come back. So it wasn't just that original list. It's still going on. Invite us back. We did see the casino there. Looks great. Very tropical looking, which I thought was interesting. Did see, Clinton has a ton of assets like this. Agriculture arena, I don't know if any public events are ever there, because there's one board with one poster, a local poster there, but really no information. You've got all of these things there, and there's nothing to say if any events are coming to Clinton. So once again, invite us back. I think that'd be fantastic. But man, talk about a lot of facilities. I was pretty impressed. A lot of it, you can see they're working on it right in the middle of downtown. Love this. I read about this idea where they have this little light tunnel. You can go in and it has different music and everything. I think it was really cool. I love it when people take their own initiative and come up with something kind of cool. We weren't there at night to see it. Is it running this time of year? Probably it is. But we didn't get there at night. Every night we're processing photographs and putting this together. But once again, that's really a cool idea. I love that. Could be a great hidden gem too. It's not the main reason you go to Clinton, but there, you got to do that. I didn't see a whole lot of visitor-oriented retail. It seemed to be mainly for locals, which is fine. There were a few, like the little Huron Christmas store. I thought that was gorgeous, really cute. Not too sure when it's open. Once again, there was no real hours or anything posted there, but it looks really cute. And I assume it's still in business, right? And then, of course, Bartlett's was busy. That place was hopping. And I was glad to see that. A little hard to see their sign because it's got all this other sign clutter right in front of their sign back there. But that place looked great, and it's got good reviews. Architecture in Clinton's magnificent, like your other towns. Kind of reminded me of Fergus, Ontario, with all the Scottish, it looked kind of like that. And but beautiful architecture. Not too sure, like Maria's Fashion Boutique, it's hard to tell who's open or closed because there's no beautification, no outside displays, nothing. This here, I kind of have mixed feelings about. It looks like it's kind of a homage to a satellite dish or something, but what is it and why is it there? Radar.
Home of radar, where the training was done before World War II.
Really? See, there's no interpretive sign, there's no information. They should put in an interpretive sign. I was there going, there must be something about this. So that's cool. Cool to know. That could be a great hidden gem all by itself. This was very helpful, but we looked everywhere for the back alley art extravaganza and never could find it. Is it still in Clinton? What's that?
Taken down for the winter.
Taken down for the winter. And it said it's in an alley. We were sitting there on our phone trying to get directions. We never could figure out where it was. Where is it usually? Is it behind the library?
Well, there's a couple of streets that's behind.
Oh, okay. So when it's up in the spring, do you put out like sandwich board signs that show you how to get there?
It was put up last year.
Okay.
We had the main street all torn up.
Oh,
We couldn't
okay.
drive down it. So
Okay.
the idea was
Great.
get people to go down the back alley.
Yeah. It was marketed as something to do, but when they marketed it, they didn't say, well, it only springs through summer or whatever, But it looked really cool. But, well, I'm glad we walked all over the whole town, down everything that looked like an alley trying to find it, and we never could. I know you had all these streets torn up and everything for all of these improvements. I hope that adding some crosswalks will be in the mix. Because this intersection, every time we wanted to go across it, we felt like we're taking our life in our hands. Because it's a busy intersection right there. So I would just add some crosswalks there. That's something you could do. And nowadays they can do decorative crosswalks that are pretty cool. We did find the conservation area. Love the fact that somebody's working really hard to do a disc golf out there, and they have like a club or whatever, and they say meet here Tuesdays at 6:30, starting in April. I thought it was really cool that there's some local initiative to do that stuff. And when you're trying to attract millennials and stuff, they look for things like that, where there's some local initiatives going on. But I thought that was really cool that they're doing that. And even when you leave Goderich, I love it, where it says, thank you for visiting Clinton. Clinton, not Goderich. Thank you for visiting Clinton. And I thought that was great. While we were in the area, we could not pass up Ben Miller. Because everybody said, you got to go out to Ben Miller, got to go out to Ben Miller. And I was wondering, who the heck is Ben Miller? You know, and so we went out there, we found the resort here, really nice. I mean, your accommodations in this county are like amazing. Just really, really amazing. They got trails there too. And we drove way back here, and it says one way going that way. We're driving a big truck, couldn't get out that way. So we had to go the wrong way back out. And but really, a really great place. And then in Goderich, our last one of these notes, there's like community events, but nothing on there was a community event. So I don't know if anything's happening in 2022 or not. Beautiful homes everywhere. I just kept going, look at that catwalk up there. I mean, it's just like, wow. I mean, beautiful homes everywhere. What Scotiabank did there, I think, is absolutely phenomenal. Loved seeing color. There might be some historic preservation. Roger, you like that? I love it. I love things when it's not just beige, gray, brown, and, you know, and I thought that was just awesome. Like to see more of it. I mean, it just makes it lively. It makes it colorful. And we even got a chance to go to Sky Harbor Airport. Oh, that's the other one. I forgot. You have a Sky Harbor too. We happen to live in Phoenix. And so that's Sky Harbor Airport in Phoenix. So here's Sky Harbor Airport here. Looked great. Looked like a fixed base operation. Trying to find trails. This was the Tiger... There was a sign where it says Tiger, what is it? Dunlop. Tiger Dunlop. So we turned down there and it says, oh no, this is the Maitland Trail. Is it the same trail or did we miss something? So you have the same trail, has a whole bunch of different names.
It's all part of G to G now?
It's all part, okay. So maybe it should just be the G to G, you know, and maybe over time we get rid of those other signs just so we don't get confused. And so, but once again, down there, that's phenomenal. I thought reading about the history of the salt mine, I kept going, where's the piles of salt? And then when I read how much underneath, I mean, it was a cool story. It's a really cool story. I think that's really neat. I thought, and it was well documented. This is great for boaters. This is where we started to stay when we first got here. It just didn't work out. They weren't ready for spring yet with their facilities. But looked like a great little spit out there, has little vacation homes and stuff. It's mainly a trailer park, but nice. There's the salt mine story I thought was really good, how they told about how deep it is, how spread out it is. We did walk the waterfront, and it was blowing like you can't believe. Is that typical for here in the winter or in the spring? Wow, it was like gale force winds. It's like hanging on to Jane's so little, I thought she was just going to blow away. But we walked all the way down there. It was freezing cold, you know, with the wind chill. But really, really cool. I love the fact that it's high bank. It's different than what you find up in the Bruce Peninsula. But we went all the way down there. Now, here's the deal. We went down there. We're down there for a couple of hours. We're walking all of this, and there was a ton of people down there. All the washrooms are locked. It's so frustrating for people that everything is locked. I mean, can't you just open it during the day and lock it at night? I mean, and it wasn't those restrooms were locked as well. There was no restrooms. So we had to say, okay, let's get out of here. We got to go find washrooms. And that shouldn't happen. This here, it looks like a great restaurant. We tried looking up Beach Street Restaurant, but apparently that's not its name anymore. We don't know when it's open. We can't, this is another one of those things, please invite us back. Nothing there. Looks phenomenal. Is it good? Yeah. And it is still in business? Yeah. Okay, they should just say opening whenever. We even saw little trails like this going up the bluff. It would have been nice if there was a sign. I'm not sure where this ends up there. I don't know if it ends up at the same place. It's different than the lighthouse, right? So I'm not sure, but if there's a little sign there that says, here's where, if you go up here, here's where you'll end up. And at the top saying, this takes you down to the waterfront. So there could be some information additional right there. This just got my goat. Of all the things that ticked me off, this was it. Because you go down there, it says, paid parking by permit only. Where the hell do I get a permit? I mean, so this is not open to the public? It says paid parking permit only. So I imagine only permit holders can get this. So I don't get it. It says, then there's this. The only way you'd ever read those signs is if you got out of your car, walked up the hill, and read this little McKay Pay thing. And so this, I don't get that. I still can't figure this out. We went down there, we didn't have to pay, and maybe, I'm not probably going to get a ticket in the mail now, right? But I don't get it. Is it paid parking year-round down there?
May 15th to October.
Okay, so May 15th. So during that time, where do I go to get a permit?
Town hall.
No? Where do you go?
There are 15 different kiosks that are set up. There's also
Where are they? I didn't see any of them. They're not set up yet?
during the rest of the year.
Okay.
Those signs just got put up.
Okay.
12 new waterfront signs coming that explain all of it.
Okay. Can I make a suggestion? Get rid of the words by permit only. Just put paid parking at kiosks below. Then it makes sense. But these signs by themselves don't answer any And so I would just read, I know they were just put up. I would get rid of, paid parking is fine, and I'd put at kiosks below. You already got the dates there, 9 to 5. I think that's all good. That permit seemed like you have to go get a special permit to park here, and I didn't know where to go. And you know what? A lot of people in the same room don't know where or how. So I think doing the paid parking is fine. I think it's worth it. I don't know how much it is, but I think it'll be worth it. But I would just do, paid parking at kiosks below or something like that, just so they know that's where you go and there'll be kiosks set up along there. So great. Thanks for answering the question. And I imagine the kiosks, you can pay by app or phone or cash or whatever that. Okay, fantastic. That is the new age of parking, so great. So for me, it was that by permit only in huge, big letters like, you better luck out, we're coming for you, I'm glad it wasn't red at least. And so, okay, we did finally find the hospital in Goderich. And remember I said about young people when they come to move, they look at medical facilities per. And I must say that is this the biggest hospital in the whole county?
Yes.
I will tell you, we're a little underwhelmed. It looked pretty dated. It looks pretty dated. Now, I'm not saying it might have great health care. We did not go check out reviews on health care. It may be fantastic. But we said, wow, if this is serving this whole county, yeah, it looks like something out of the 70s, So maybe some paint, some little things to make it look a little better. I didn't have any negative impression. I just didn't have a really whoa, that's really nice. I think the clinic across the street looked more modern and, so there's that. We did find the high school, the Collegiate Institute right here. I think that's it, right? Yeah. And looked very nice. I was taking these pictures and a kid was over there doing roller hockey and he goes, why are you taking pictures of my school? I'm going, wow, you're really protective. Cool. And that was on the weekend. And so anyway, it looks great. It looked fine. Conservation areas. I got to say, after we went to 1, 2, 3, 4 conservation areas, we kind of went, yeah, I'm not even sure if we should go find the rest of them. Look at how the wind was blowing. I mean, that's And we, like this one, Hewlett Provincial Wildlife Area, we've got a rope across there. There's a gate across there. I don't know if that's private property because there's no parking over here where it is. Then we got this other deal over here that says zone parking. There's zones out here in the middle of nowhere. I mean, you know, and it's got this big yellow dot on it. Couldn't figure it out. There's only room for like one car. Then there was another one we went to, you know, and I just went, yeah, this would be a great place to walk your dog. But none of these, I got to say that all these conservations, I think they're pretty. They're probably better in the summer. You got to remember when we're here. But none of them really stood out as like, wow, we got to go there. Most of them had like two spaces to even park. And it was hard to find them even. And finally, that does it. So where do you go from here? So I just took 2.5 hours out of your life, a little over that. And all of these things, remember, are suggestions. There was how many? 100, well, there we go, 124 suggestions. A lot of these could be grouped together. This is on film. I would urge people, what you could do is when this gets on film and it's online, you could break, somebody's going to say, I'm not going to sit there and watch that for 2.5 hours. But you could break it into sections. Now, even on YouTube, you'll see how you can break them into chapters. So you can talk about, here's where he talked about downtowns. Here's where he talked about marketing. Here's where he talked about invite us back. So you can break it up in those chapters. I would make sure that if you have chambers of commerce, your BIAs, see this as a group, or see the portions that affect their BIA or their Community Futures, whatever it is, Chamber of Commerce. I think from here, I think every one of your communities, and it could be whether it's Central Huron, the bigger municipality, or whether it's each of these towns, could create their destination team. And when I use the word destination, it's not just tourism. It's a destination is a place to live, it's a place to invest in, and a place to visit. And then go through the suggestions and say, well, which ones of these do we want to do? And you know what? Outside of creating that beautification in around the square in Goderich and Wayfinding, there was nothing in there that cost more than like $500. Nothing. It was all little stuff. But it's the sum of all the small parts that makes you a really great destination. It's all those little things. And so I think you can do this. I mean, I know you can do this. I mean, this is 100% about making something happen. I don't do this just, well, we did this report. And by the way, you'll have the video, and Heather is my main go-between, and she will have, I'm going to send her the physical presentation. It's done in Apple Keynote, but I'll also save it as a PowerPoint. And then Heather, if somebody wants it, Roger, we want to take all the slides you took at Clinton out of all those parts and put them, so we just do one on Clinton, we could do that. Because, I didn't want to go town by town by town and say, well, you already did our town, we're leaving. So I hit the main things that all the towns could do. But you could go back through that presentation and have that. She'll also get handouts for all these slides. By the way, you just watched 515 slides. Now you're going, oh, no wonder I was so tired. But it's so you're going to get that. And then over the next 60 days or so, we're going to be writing up a suggestions, findings and suggestions book. So it'll have a lot of these slides in there with some additional explanation. Makes sense? So you have the video, you have the presentation, you could cut it down to your own. You might even do a chamber meeting where, the first I said why this is important. You might say, we want to do that just in a chamber meeting. Use your slides and just say, here's why downtowns are important. Here's why, those facts, so people can understand. Love to see your restaurant start staying open past 8. Come on, really? Can you imagine if they did that in downtown Toronto or Mississauga or somewhere? Man, you wouldn't last very long. Just so you know, the average time people ate dinner in the 50s, 60s, and early 70s was 5:30 to 6. You know what it is today? Average time for dinner now, even in the rural areas, is 6:30 to 7:30. In Europe, Western Europe, it's 9 o'clock. We're moving that way. And you still have restaurants that close at 7. I just went, you're joking, aren't you? And I can't even imagine that in the summer when we're out till late. It's light at 10 o'clock. Make sense? Anybody have any last minute questions of me? No questions? Okay, well, thank you so much for spending the whole morning here. I think what you have is phenomenal. I think what you have. I don't think you have any major big issues. You have some towns that need some help, but who doesn't? And by the way, nobody is ever done. Not Niagara on the Lake, not anybody. We're never done. And so that's one thing. But these are some things you could do that could make a big difference in recovering from COVID. And with that, go for it. It's all yours.
Thank you very
Thank you very much.